Welcome to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Back by popular demand, Trevor Buzak.
Nobody likes him, Mark.
Oh, people like him.
Nobody does.
They like him more than they
Jordan.
like me. I mean,
what's up?
Always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. More than a pleasure.
Because it's a pleasure for both of us.
Yeah.
two pleasures.
And then joining us today.
Oh, g'day, guys! What's going on in the Lorehammer world? Oh, g'day, Eric. How are ya? Oh, that's a major peaking on the. On
Did
the
I break the system?
Were you not ready for
Is
that
it still
one?
intact? You're the only one with headphones.
Even with the soundproofing, that still is awful.
You need more soundproofing, clearly.
I think we just need to encase you in soundproofing.
That's the solution.
What's worse, that or Mark's mouth noise? Yeah, that. Oh my god.
You should just stop your mouth moving. That would solve a lot of
Probably,
problems.
yeah.
The pot calling the kettle black.
Hey, man.
But the reason you're here, Dylan, is because this is an orc episode.
I thought you missed me.
No.
You know, it's been a hot minute. Like, I haven't seen you in a bit.
All
Like,
our friendships are now based around what we can get out of you.
Right.
Oh.
Business
What do you
relationships.
offer to Lorehammer?
well, I'm the biggest talent you have on the show. So, I mean, clearly
Perfect.
your numbers go up every time I'm on.
Yeah.
So I see your incentive to bring me back.
Exactly.
But, I mean, I thought our friendship was stronger. I thought that was your major incentive.
Yeah, that's what we tell
Sure,
people.
yeah,
Those are
absolutely.
some cold stares, guys. Those are some cold stares. Jordan's definitely hairier since the last time I saw him.
Yeah. Well, you haven't seen Jordan for months.
No, it's been a while. I haven't seen this new goddamn place. Can we talk about the studio for a fucking second?
Yeah, for a quick hot minute, sure.
So, when did you guys become Joe Rogan? When did that fucking happen?
Not yet. We
Not
don't have
yet.
the TVs yet.
The
so-
Lorehammer Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
We're going to say Jordan pulled that shit up.
Phase
Have you ever done DMT?
returning. Never mind. Yeah, this like phase one. We are completely 100% audio prepared at this point.
Audio
Yeah.
for the
There's
first
nothing.
time.
Well, there's nothing
After
more.
2 years, we can now say we have our audio prepared.
Been slowly building up. There's nothing more we're doing to the recording room currently to increase audio level. So if you don't like this, if this is turning you off, just quit
Send angry
right
emails
now.
until it changes. Can I just describe what I'm seeing? Okay, so I'm in Mark's garage, which is famous, reputable, across all of Canada. Everyone knows
People
what this
come
place
from
is.
different countries to see it.
People he doesn't even know come here to play Warhammer. And that happens pretty regularly. But it looks like he cut it in half, added a whole extra wall. So the room I'm in is quite small because it's half the garage. But what you gain is a beautiful curtained wall. We've got some foam padding. Looks like someone gutted their mattress and stuck it all over the place.
Oh yeah, gutted and spray painted a mattress. Yeah.
It wasn't bought at all. We
No.
didn't spend money on this.
And we've got a couch and some heating. I see a little fridge in the corner. We have some beautifully decorated glass. What would you call this? Kind of a
It's a
placemat. I don't
weird
know.
coaster.
Coaster?
I would call it a table centerpiece.
Sure. Oh yeah, that works.
I would call it a religious icon.
Some
Which
iconography.
we worship the emperor.
So how does it feel to be famous?
Well, we're not.
Well,
first
yeah.
of all,
Like, what does it mean to be famous?
like sure, we get a lot of downloads now, but it's just my mom still.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just my mom downloading
And
it
it's brand.
8,000 times
And-
now.
and brand.
Yeah.
Well, it's famous
Trying to
enough
support
to necessitate a studio. So something's happening.
There is truth in that. Famous enough that we didn't spend any of our own money in this, and it was only because of the people.
I can't believe you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of listener money
Hundreds of
upgrading the place where Mark plays Warhammer.
and
Do you know,
live. And live.
do you know how self-interested that is?
Mark sleeps on this casting couch as someone so nicely put it on her.
And it's nice too because I drink a water bottle and then I refill it with piss and then I just toss it over the fence.
Good idea.
Piss jug. That's from
Just a piss jug.
That's a trailer park reference right there.
Eh.
So it's nice.
But the one thing I am saying I'm lacking in seeing is decorative shit. So if anyone's listening wants to send some fucking shit in, this place could get definitely spruced up.
Yeah, me and Eric have been tossing around the idea of
Potentially,
getting like
yeah.
a PO box and having people send us like if you have, I don't know, whatever you're into.
Like
Dude,
bombs.
I listened to a podcast where fans send in booze.
There we go.
Come on, man.
Yeah, if we,
Send
you
in
guys wanted us
booze.
to do drunk hammer, that's how we'll do it.
Oh my god! Can you imagine Mark drunk?
We've done the weed hammer.
good.
Now it's time to do the beer hammer. And I think in Mark's happy first time should be recorded. I think that's ideal.
Oh my god!
Actually, we need to redo. We got to try and do weed hammer.
Take two weed hammer.
Yeah, lots of people have requested it.
we can do it. What is your view of lots of people have requested it, Mark? Like more than two? Because that's what I think of. Like,
Yeah, well, even on the last episode, we said if 2 people request it, we then make a Discord.
well, that was exactly,
So-
At least 2 people requested Discord, so we were like, well, I guess we need one.
Yeah, so at least 2 people have requested a new High Hammer.
Does that
episode.
mean, like, if 2 people request a Space Wolves episode, we now have to do Space Wolves?
I don't understand the question.
I think those are new words to him.
Can you ask a host a dumb question, get a dumb answer?
I mean, what we should do is we should just not record and get you high. Get you comfortable with the concept, and then maybe
I'll never
once
be
you're
comfortable with the
slightly
concept.
All right, well, fuck it. Let's put a camera on you.
Oh yeah,
and a
no, that's
microphone,
fine.
we'll see.
That's what we got to do. Maybe for the very first,
Oh my God.
very first camera filming experience, it should be High Hammer.
Oh my god.
That would just be, I think, the bee's knees. But
I think my paranoia might actually set in at that point.
Yeah,
because
it'll amplified.
I don't get paranoid at all when like I get stoned. But to know that there was someone else watching me through that
Evidence.
screen, that might do it for me.
Immortalized forever as well. It never goes away. Once
Yeah.
it's on the internet, it's gone, right?
Yeah.
So when do cameras come?
So that's like our phase 2 thing to aim is. So we're buying like lights that we're gonna rig in the ceiling so we can get like nice professional studio lighting.
Shit, yeah.
We'll buy like a nice mirrorless camera with a couple different lenses. We'll get a tripod set up here. We got to mount our TV on the wall so we can get Jamie to pull this up.
Yeah.
Jordan to pull this up.
We can get Jordan. Sorry, I'm so
Slip of the
used to
tongue.
saying Anyways,
Well, you also have to do the other room that is now used for Warhammer. Because if you guys are going to do like
I'm never touching
record
that room.
games.
There's
Example
potential for
of
that,
it?
but not in that room.
Okay,
not-
there's
okay.
space.
like our ability to like produce video has like it can change a lot of things, but this one will specifically like this will be our podcast room and our video room. But there's just a multitude of things you can do with a camera to just increase the mediums we can share with people.
Well, it sounds like you need another $100,000. Come on, Patreon! Patreon!
Speaking of which, though, there have been a number of people who have joined our Patreon since our last recording. So what we want to do is we just want to say thank you. So I'm just going to read those out right now. Jordan, you'll just put applause soundtrack in post when I read those out, right?
I can't. I literally can if you want.
He didn't do it the last time we asked him.
Jordan, God damn it!
Oh, you told me to? Like legitimately told me to?
He was busy
Yes, for
looking
the
at.
sake of the podcast.
He was looking at
yes.
fantasy football stats. is what he
That
was.
son of a bitch.
So let's say thank you to Stone, to Ryan, to Matt, to Andrew, Jessica, Ryan, Leonardo, Sion, Caden, Ben, Greg, Matthew, Potato Man 863, and Bleft Bart.
Yeah, crazy. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Good combination.
Wow.
And then we've had 2 one-time donations since from Rickard and from Andrew. So guys, thank you so much
Yeah, thanks
to
a lot.
contributing to our podcast. Something that recently came up is Bleft Bart is our 100th patron.
Yeah, yeah. That son of a bitch did it just so he could claim that
Exactly,
title.
yeah.
but
Probably.
Yeah, he's actually just gonna remove himself.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the patron.
Once it's 101 or 102,
yeah,
then-
he's like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Like,
What's
no
his
reason.
reward? Some a nice
This.
night of fellatio? What?
What? What are you offering?
You heard here, Jordan is
I was
offering
it
fellatio.
on behalf of you, Eric.
Oh, sure.
It's all that fantasy football.
As
Gets
a
them too riled up.
I like looking at big man.
Not even Blood Bowl. It's got to just be regular football.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Wow. Speaking of Blood Bowl, though,
Oh my god.
was there anything we need to touch before we started in this episode?
The final thing is I got a story for the end of the podcast. So when we're done the episode, stay tuned. I got a decent story.
That makes me nervous.
Oh, boy. Shit.
It's 40K related. You're going to like it.
I
You're
hope
going to be
so.
a part of it. You're going to like it. Everyone's going to like it.
I mean, you say that.
Everyone always likes everything I say. Always. That's what my mom says.
Can we get a
That's
vote
what
on
our
that?
only friend, my mom says. Okay.
Your mom's a generous lady. How is your mom? She good?
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in a while. She's nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
She's still sexy.
Oh, cool. We should get her on the. Wait, excuse me. Hold the fuck.
Sorry, what?
Does she know you're famous still? Big. Okay, cool.
Oh my God.
We're good.
Well, today's
Weird way to
episode,
live.
this is episode 59 we're doing. And this episode is called Oddboyz and Odd Boyz.
You just said the same things twice.
Nah, see, you're not listening
Are
closely
you
enough.
having a
Oh.
stroke?
What I said was Oddboyz
Yep.
and Odd Boys.
Yeah, you just. Hold on. You said Odd Boys
Yeah.
and then Odd Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
Oh.
that's right. That's the
No,
episode.
no. But I don't think you You said the exact identical thing.
Yeah, no, but they're different.
Is that why I'm here?
Is
this what you think of
you
me?
need to listen better.
Yeah, we're talking about Ork Odd Boys, and then we got the Odd Boy Dylan on.
Right, exactly.
How suitable. All right.
But the reason being is that we wanted to do an episode on Oddboys, like your standard ones, and then just through research we realized that it kind of fits to do a different aspect of orc people groups. Also in this, I don't know what to call them.
Why was that funny?
I don't know what to.
I think it was just like the
hand motion.
the hand motion.
I'm just trying
There's
to
all the
include everyone,
gestures.
right?
Orcs are people too.
Yeah. Let's go right into it.
But good thing we're doing orcs. Let's get this energy back into the podcast.
Yeah. So, wow.
What's wrong, Eric?
I feel like normally I match energy with people, but
Yeah.
that I
Dylan's
can't.
always a level
I
above.
can't.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
man, like,
I can't
You got
match
that
that.
the green skin, man. Keeps you going.
All right. Let's talk about what is an odd boy, and by that I mean an odd boy.
Of course.
Yeah. So an odd boy is an orc that has a very unique and technical skill. They fulfill roles in orc society that require more than the ability to chop things or shoot the dakas.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Odd boys aren't taught how to be odd. They just is. Either you born with it or you ain't. Or you's not an odd boy.
Oh, brother.
This won't be the whole episode.
No,
of us talking.
love writing random sentences like that.
Either
you is born with it or you's not an odd boy.
It's either do it, commit the accent, or don't. It's one of the two. Speak English or Orkish. Choose.
What if you speak Orkish in an English accent? Is that double
Either
trouble?
you is born with it or you's not an odd boy.
I find them more
Yes.
interesting if they would have English accents, like the hard English accent, like some kind of Cockney or something like that.
Oh, like how
Yeah,
Matt
maybe-
had.
maybe-
Yeah, like Matt. Oh, shout out to Matt. I finally met him. My God, is that cool guy? Is that kid cool? Holy fuck. I missed him. Did he get home safe?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we do a lot of Instagram lives together. Where we're
Fuck
just
yeah.
hanging out painting. so
cool. So that's an
Big
open
guy.
invitation to any international guests. Mark's
Oh yeah,
garage.
we got a couch now for people to
So you
sleep.
can crash in.
If you want to suck his dick and stay the night, he is more than welcome to have you over.
Why is fellatio the currency?
I don't make the rules, but I'm willing to live by them.
All right, we were talking about odd boys.
Yeah. As orcs grow, this knowledge begins to make itself apparent, and the orc will eventually leave the mob to join some other odd boys. This happens naturally, with no one telling odd boys where to go or what to learn. They instinctively know how to do that when the mob needs them most.
Yeah. And we're going to get into boys that are odd later, but you need to remember that this is what makes an odd boy. It's this knowledge that just grows within them,
Yeah.
that they have no control over. It just happens.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that in our very first like orc episode, and how like they have like that genetic memory, or they have like, you know, that genetic predetermination thing about them.
Yeah.
They know how things work even though they don't know how things work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Biology, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's
It-
incorporated into their DNA.
It's not
Yeah.
super explained.
No.
And like, well, like I think different people will give you different answers.
Yeah.
But if you were to say like it is a genetic thing, like sure, why not? It also could very well be a psychic thing.
Yeah.
It also could very well be just like a size thing. Like if your wog gets big enough,
Yeah.
you all of a
It-
sudden have more.
It could even be a need thing. So like,
Yeah.
you know, the tribe needs some mechs now. More mechs are getting awakened as mech boys. So
It has yet to be fully.
Imperial scientists have been trying for decades,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they have yet to figure out.
There's no Magos biologist that has been able to
Yeah.
find the answer.
And the mystery is on point. Like, it's kind of orcish and it's pretty 40k.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So where do odd boys fit? So the odd boys exist as part of like the tribe or the mob that they're in, but also separate from other boys. They exist in their own caste and they function autonomously. They do fit in the WoG in their own right, and they fight alongside their kin at the same time as they perform their odd boy task. And especially gifted odd boys can even take the title of war boss and lead their own WoG. So you got to remember that even though these are weird and they are odd, like they are still orc,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
still love fighting.
They still love chopping.
They still love shooting. They
Yeah.
just also have another function.
There's a little bit of an outcast. They're just outsiders. I mean, they are odd.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
odd
no, exactly.
to orc standards is like something real special, you know? Like, they're doing something super weird or dangerous or interesting or just a bit spooky for a regular orc boy, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So one other thing we mentioned too is like orcs actually function in like a caste system. You know, there's very strict hierarchical terms. So just because you're an odd boy doesn't necessarily mean that you're you have more power than a boy. If that boy can still beat the shit out of you,
He's gonna beat it out of you.
he's gonna beat it
But
out of you.
Okay. Even though that is true, there is another aspect of it in there.
There is.
Because if you're a mech, which we're going to get into later, and another orc is bigger than you, and he wants an upgrade to his weapon, it's not worth it for him to beat the crap out of you if all of a sudden you're just not
Then you're gonna make him a shitty weapon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though they still exist in that size, strength hierarchy, it's like another layer that has to be thought of anytime they engage with these odd boys.
Yeah, exactly.
If they can prove their value, then even though they're strange and foreign and weird and keep them on the outskirts, we still want you around.
Exactly.
Because at some point, it may need your shit. So yeah,
exactly.
They have their place.
Perfect. Yes. Well, now we know everything there is to know about fitting into Ork society as an odd boy.
Yeah.
Be invaluable.
Which is something we've all been through.
Damn. Let's we're actually now going to talk about the different kinds of odd boys.
There's 4 different kinds.
There are 4 different kinds that we know of.
Oh yes,
So
interesting.
there are many different kinds of odd boys in Ork society, but the 4 that we are going to talk about are the most well known and the most important as seen by Ork society.
I think this is Games Workshop's kind of classic, like ability to write into the future. Like they didn't say there's only 4. Like if they eventually want to come up with something else, they're gonna slot it in.
Yeah, and be like, this is just another odd boy, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
Future-proof.
So and even for us people, if we're writing lore, we can even now come up with odd boys. But if you're gonna do that, the thing to remember is what an odd boy is, and that's that they have some type of technical knowledge.
Yeah, a knowledge that isn't just a preference.
Yeah.
Right? This is a knowledge that other people can't have unless they are an odd boy.
Yeah.
And that should be more apparent as we
get into it,
go
for sure.
through this.
We should brainstorm later and see if we can come up with our own kind of odd boy.
Oh, I think I got one already.
You reckon? Okay,
I spent
let's-
14 days trying to come up with one.
Wait, what? Is that a true story? Okay, what the fuck?
That's the story for the end of the
all
podcast.
right. How you became an odd boy.
So the very first one we're going to talk about, and this is probably the most important one, but who knows? Hard to say. They're all important.
I think this is
They're all
this
important.
is a
Some
super
are more
common one.
Yeah. And they're called Mech boys. So Mech boys have all the engineering knowledge of the Ork race. It's their job to build vehicles, armor, weapons, munitions, machineries, anything needed for a successful WOG. Even though they love to build, they, just like any other Ork, love to kill, loot, burn, and will be seen in the fighting force of a WOG.
Yeah, if it's time to fight,
They're gonna
not.
fight.
Yeah, they're not like still just ratcheting on bolts. They're gonna pick up their favorite chopper or slugga.
Fuck, even their favorite wrench.
Yeah, and go
If
hurl
that
it
wrench
through
is
an
big
enemy's
enough,
face.
yeah.
So you just gotta remember that even though these guys all have these duties and knowledge, they are still orcs.
Yeah.
So there's a reason they're still all on the battlefield.
But is there like enough mech boys to like supply the mechanical needs of their WOG?
Yeah, like
Well, that's an interesting thought about like if you need more mech boys, how do you make more? You can't teach these skills to other people.
Yeah.
So what happens?
And like you're sacrificing like a finite sort of not human orc resource. I don't know what you call it.
fungus source.
fungal resource. A brain power, right? To go fight like on the front lines of a battle.
I'm going to say the orcs aren't too concerned about that nature of resource management.
No, I know, but
yeah.
like
It kind of comes down to the fact, though, because we've theorized about this and hypothesized about the fact before. If the WOG needs something, it's going to just appear for them.
Yeah.
So if
Right.
if there's a WOG and all the mech boys died in like a single battle, all of a sudden, like the nature of how the Ork WOG works is that new mech boys, the knowledge will just rise up in them and they'll take their place as other mech boys. And we've like hypothesized about how it's possible that could be how it works.
Yeah. And like even we know like you're not born a mech boy. It takes a while for you to become one. Like eventually something just flicks in your brain where now you're a mech boy. Like somehow, maybe the WOG has reached that critical mass.
But there's no known stimulant.
Yeah.
For
But
what makes someone an odd boy.
Yeah.
So
But the one thing
like
is-
I like the explanation that when their need is there, they grow into it, but it's not true.
We do know they're not born. So
And obviously the
And
more
you're not taught. You cannot teach this.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. I mean, the more mech boys there are in a particular WOG, like probably the more leaning towards like vehicles and other kind of technology it is. So like it's gonna bleed into like what the particular war wants and needs.
And we talk about this. We do.
Yeah.
Because it does build. Anyways, let's
Let's talk about the thing we're talking about.
We're doing it.
Okay. Oftentimes they save their best creations for themselves, and the same with the snazziest guns or the fastest vehicles.
Oh yeah.
So there's nothing stopping a mech boy from being a speed freak,
Sure.
right? And loving going fast, and he just makes all these custom like ornaments and
Seems like a natural progression in some ways.
yeah. I mean, speed freaks is for like really integrated into Ork society.
I'm sure there's a fuckload of mech boys and speed freaks, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just you got to just remember that you can touch many different things in Ork society. You can love massive guns and be a mech boy. You can love sneaking around and being a mech boy because you can build stealth technology, right? So you just got to remember they can touch anything they want.
Build shit.
While mech boys do love tinkering away, their services are not free and will demand payment in the form of teeth.
That's
Sorry, in the form of what, Mark?
Teeth.
Teeth. Oh, teeth. I thought you said teeth for a second.
Teeth.
Not Bitcoin. Not, that's
Dogecoin.
Those backward savages.
teeth.
Bit teeth.
Bit of teeth.
They all got iPhones and they're fucking transferring cryptocurrencies to each other and shit. They keep breaking it every time they use their thumb.
Yeah. Gork coins.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I prefer Mork coins.
Yeah.
But
Well, Gork is better, Mark.
It begins.
But yeah, this isn't free. They don't offer their services for the love of it. They do like what they do, but if they're going to do it for the love, they're going to build it for themselves.
yeah, exactly.
If you want something done, it's going to cost you.
Which makes sense because they probably want to buy more like tools and supplies and all stuff to make the favorite things they want, which they keep for themselves.
yeah.
Or just buy materials even. Right?
To pay people to go loot that tank, they need somebody
There
to
is
do that.
still a currency and an economy in Ork
It's a
society.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a business.
Yeah.
Their economy is very good.
It's awesome.
very functioning.
Pretty straightforward.
Mech boys are incredibly resourceful. They can perform battlefield repairs with nothing more than screws, spit, and some elbow grease, and have been known to build entire workshops out of next to nothing.
Yeah.
This is an interesting thought, and it, like, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, but it really reminds me of jokeros, like the orangutans that see, like, they are really good at miniaturization technology.
Yeah.
But they are also extremely good at just adapting anything they have their hands on into some form of technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the orcs just are super creative, so they just find something and it's like they'll find a use for it more than like they're I don't see them intentionally trying to build something and they're looking for the parts. It's like they find that like, ooh, that would make a good X. Or,
Gubbin.
that would make a great gubbin. Yeah.
Yeah, they find an object and turn it into the thing they need it to be. So it's like they just to change and adapt whatever's in their environment. To like, I need this to be this now. And their own psychic genetic
This wheel is now
A flamethrower.
I don't know. A new helmet. You know what I mean? Like,
But yeah, the resourcefulness of mechs just
Yeah.
speaks to the fact that it doesn't matter where they are or what they're doing. They're going to perform what they like doing.
incredibly orcish.
Their enhancements could be as simple as a looking glass placed on a weapon to make the enemy bigger, or a gun that opens a portal to another dimension, banishing your enemies forever. Yeah, like orc technology is not limited. The only thing that limits it is their creative ability.
Yeah, their imagination.
Yeah.
Which for an orc normally just involves dead enemies.
Usually, yeah.
Right?
And the more enemies, the bigger the thing they need to bring.
Yeah.
So therefore,
Lots
their
of
technology
stompas.
expands. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mech boys can be seen in whole mobs working together to create massive orky machines, worshipped as religious symbols of their gods.
Yeah, and that's normally like larger things.
Yeah,
like
like
stompas,
stompas.
gorkanauts, morkanauts.
Yeah, it's very cool to think like a whole big fucking mob of mech boys all tinkering
Crawling
together.
around on
Sure.
this
Yeah.
thing.
The whole thing's full of Gretchen. And
Yeah.
it barely fucking like works.
All of them have a different pair of blueprints, different set of blueprints. That's like why
That's
one leg.
exactly what it is.
Yeah,
though, right?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why the legs never look the same.
Yeah.
Like,
But in the truth,
Everyone's building what they think is like the best one, and
Yeah.
it works because orcs like have such a large like margin of error. Like it doesn't have to be comfy and it doesn't have to look good. It just needs to shoot and walk and stomp, right? Like,
yeah, because they want it to work. And I mean, it ties in like bigger is better. So no shit when they see a giant monolithic stomper walking around, they go, holy fuck, that's God. Like, they respect it. Yeah.
and
yeah.
it is like a religious experience for
Yeah.
them too. Like once they see these creations, it becomes like a symbol of like their faith in Gork and Mork or
Yeah.
whoever it is you choose to worship. Whoever's the better one to worship.
Gorka Morka,
Yeah.
of course.
Do you want to get the next one, Dylan?
Oh,
Number 7?
Well, they do work together. They also normally keep a few grots handy to test the live wires, fetch tools, and generally any labor the mech boy doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
That's what I said. The Stompers are just full of grots and gratian.
No, exactly.
Completely
We
and
called it.
entirely. Yeah,
We
yeah.
called it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a slave labor aspect. 'Cause
Yeah.
They're not doing everything
Cool,
themselves.
yeah.
Instead of making a power drill, they just give a grot a screwdriver.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a powered drill.
Figure it out.
The grot's
Yeah.
not, or the orc's not doing it. So
Well, they just sharpen his fingernails and say, go for it. And when his fingers break, they just get the next one.
Break out one of their teeth and use that.
Use your teeth.
So that is how a mech boy do. How the mech boy do.
Oh, the mech boy. My next rap.
There are different kinds of mech boys.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go over those now. So the first one we have are spanners. And spanners are a lesser skilled, and there's not really anywhere that says they're lesser skilled. That's just our assumption based on how they're described.
yeah.
But a lesser skilled mech boy that normally follow around Lootas, Burna boys, tanks, tank bustas, anyone who uses some kind of technology, these spanners can be seen with.
Yeah.
And they can conceivably be seen in anywhere that might need a technical hand.
Yeah.
So they're like apprentices? Is the idea is one day they're going to become that thing? Or are they just like...
Potentially, it could just be that if a mech boy chooses to follow around these, he
Yeah.
just changes to a spanner. It also could be that they lack enough knowledge to be their own mech boy. There's nothing really saying one way or the other.
Yeah.
They're just beta mech boys, basically.
Kind of. I don't know. It depends.
Destined to
if
be.
you
Some-
like,
some
if you like to
might-
be around like a Burna boy
Yeah.
as a mech boy, like
Yeah.
working on Prometheum stuff, then you would choose to be a spanner.
Yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
like you might not want to work on like
Making fast airplanes.
Exactly. You might
Yeah.
choose to do this. So I can see it being either.
Yeah.
If you wanted them to be a lesser knowledge, or if you wanted it to just be a choice, either work for me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Then we have mechs. So these mech boys have a level of autonomy greater than a spanner. They will have their own workshops, which are normally cluttered full of half-completed projects. They are competent craftsmen, and all manner of orcs will seek them out for upgrades and enhancements to their gear.
Yeah. These are like your way more standard, well-known
Yeah.
mechanics.
Yeah. They're good enough to build a truck for you. You know, they're good enough to build your power claw.
Yeah. Exactly.
I imagine like their workshops must have so much character. Like they're so defining to the personality of the orc, the kind of things they do. Like shit just that shouldn't work is just working everywhere. You can imagine what's strewn around the place. Like,
Lots of like electrical arcs just going from one thing to the other, but it's just really two grots holding up massive balls, and there's arcs shooting between them. And
they just dig a pit and put live electricity in there. Don't know how it's stable, but that's just the electricity pit that they get there.
when he's testing something, he just attaches like a wire to a grot and throws the grot in the hole, and then it powers whatever.
Needs more grots.
Yeah, like that's exactly how I picture them though.
Shit,
Just
yeah, yeah.
chaos, but
Yeah.
like an
I love that.
organized, competent
a
chaos.
lot of character, which
Yeah.
is really, really attractive. That's real cool, yeah.
The next thing we have are big mechs.
Mechs but bigger.
Yeah.
So these are mechs that are enormous. No, these mech boys have gathered a group of mech boys around themselves. They lead them into battle and are usually found with all sorts of custom weaponry and equipment. They will also use these mech boys to construct larger orc projects, such as Morkanauts, Gorkanauts, and Stompers.
Yeah. So there is like a lead person kind of overseeing when, I mean, in orc society, that's how it works.
Yeah.
When two orcs are together, they know who the leader is.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's
But as
bigger
soon
and
as he
bolder.
goes around the corner, you're going to be doing your own thing.
Right, no,
again.
exactly. Yeah. So when there's a group of mechs,
Yeah.
there is a leader, and
There
it is
is,
a
yeah.
big mech.
Do you think they sabotage each other's shit to try to be
100%
a
of the
part of
time.
the, get the
100%.
top of the Warbot's hierarchy? And how many battles have been lost because of the mechs just fucking with each other? Cause like, no, my shit's gonna be better, no, fuck with yours. Like,
That's it. Like, yes.
that's sneaky saboteur shit. That's not just
100% yes.
That's not an axe in the face. You know what I mean? That's some brains.
That's
That's funny.
low cunning for you.
Imagining like a Big Brother house with
Sabotaging the
fucking big mech.
vehicle that you will then be driving to make somebody else look
my
bad.
Somehow, yeah.
That's some classic.
It was him. No, it was him. It was him. Ah, mother. They kill each other on the Muslim left. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Holy.
And then finally, we have what are called mech bosses. These are the biggest, the greenest, and the greatest of all mech boys. Mech bosses will lead entire wogs. Because of the mech boss's personal preferences, it could be argued that this particular kind of wog would have a greater level of technology than a conventional wog.
Yeah, this was kind of a ruminating or speculation on our part. It's like we already know that mechs like to be with other mechs.
Yeah.
So if you have a war boss who is a mech, he's a mech boss, he would just gather mechs to himself. And when all of a sudden you have a disgusting amount of mechs, why would there not be a crap load of trucks and so many massive and fantastic weaponry? Like there wouldn't, like every single mob or boy or knob could have his preference.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes there's not enough rockets around, so you just pick up your slugga or your choppa, right? But if all of a sudden everyone is supplied with whatever they want, why couldn't you just have 30 tanks?
Yeah,
you could have an empire almost. Like we almost got it a business before because like they trade teeth for get me stuff. So imagine that's done that. It's like a high level, right? Where he's created the perfect stomper that caused him billions of teeth and like, and now he's the boss because of it, and everyone sees him that way.
So it'd be kind of cool, like if you had a mech boss running your wog. Like, it would make sense to me to have that wog have a very large amount of mechs and a high level of technology in it. It just makes sense to me to see that as like a progression.
Yeah, it's a great way to really theme an army for sure.
Like shit like attack moons. Like that's high level shit. You know what I mean? That's some serious mech work.
Yeah, nobody's just making those for fun. Like, that's a lot of mechs working on an attack moon.
Yeah. Cool.
And that's mechs.
Yeah, mech boys, they build shit.
They do. Whatever you want, they got it.
Yeah. Keep on building. I'm just imagining some kind of mech boss instead of like axes. He just has a war buggy on each hand and just fucking stops people using cars as weapons. Orks. So strong he picks up vehicles.
He has a truck cannon. He shoots trucks out of a cannon.
And a door handle is a shield or some shit like that. That'd be dope.
Yeah. No, they're very cool.
Mech's cool.
I just love that idea of like all of them just working together on one big project.
Swarming over this thing.
But I like that idea of them sabotaging each other constantly.
Like you leave your blueprints out, so I'm gonna go and like mark them poorly, so you're doing something different. I'm gonna send my grots to fuck on what you're doing.
And then they do the new blueprints, which should be wrong, but they just work anyway. And it's like, what the fuck?
It's like, still like, ammo still gets to the weapon, so
no sabotaging actually works because they just still want it to work, so it does. It's all futile. Make a good Big Brother house. I think that'd be sweet.
So up next we got Pain Boys, aka
Ow! Ow! Stop it! Ow!
Mad Docs? Ow! Or Docs? Not that kind of pain.
Okay, never mind.
Not the sensual kind.
I don't know what Jordan knows about that.
Don't threaten him with a good time.
Pain Boys are the doctors for the orcs. The funny thing about it is, if you go in expecting routine checkup, you might find yourself walking out with a new bionic limb and all your teeth missing as payment.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have a sore elbow? Let me just chop that off and give you...
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
You have a sore elbow? Let me chop off your leg and give you a new leg. Like, you can also expect that.
And put an arm on it and go, that elbow's not snore. And then problem solved.
Yeah.
That is the thing we're trying to communicate in this, is that these doctors are not doctors.
I mean,
they did not go to 8 years of schooling.
They didn't?
Right.
Man.
They didn't.
They woke up one day and thought, you know what?
I'm going to replace that elbow with this gubbins.
Where's their medical certificates? I see some real OHS breaches. Right? Need to get this a safe work environment, guys.
These orcs relish experimenting on each other's. While they too obtain a latent knowledge of medicine and surgery, they also love to find new things to, quote, improve, end quote, upon the orc body. And 100% these are improvements you did not ask for.
Did you not ask for like a 10 fingers on one hand?
I did not.
6
Oddly
dicks.
enough.
6 dicks.
I don't know if that's what Pain Boys concern themselves with.
You didn't have a dick, but you have one now.
It's a human dick too.
It looks extra small.
Yeah, no, the improved part is definitely subjective.
It's much better to visit a pain boy while you aren't in the middle of a wog, as they're much more likely to experiment on a half-dead and incapacitated orc.
Oh, yeah. It's
if
way
you're conscious,
easier.
you're going to fight back when they're like, we got to take the limb.
Yeah. Yeah. When an orc when all of a sudden he has like a massive saw in his hand and you're like, wait. I came here because of a sore throat. Right? It's easy to talk back, but when you're unconscious and you're bleeding out, he's
Yeah.
gonna do whatever he wants to your poor body.
Yeah, they've got a lot of corpses to work on, a lot of incapacitated orcs that are to do their own will. So that is the time that makes sense.
Pain Boys do require payment for their services that are rendered, and they have found the best time for this is when the orc's lying on the table. You know, his guts are open. It's the best time to then pry open his mouth, take his teeth as
Right.
payment.
So how about that payment? And it's like, do you
Yeah.
accept? The orc's like, do you accept tap? And he's like, not today. Rips that guy open and just fucking takes what he wants.
It's
and you can't fight back because your guts are all over the place.
Yeah.
You're strapped down. Your mouth has been forced open. Like he's just going in there ripping teeth out. Like
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive.
holy.
Poor dude. So while
Perfect economy.
perfect economy.
That's far better health plan than the United States, at least.
So while they will upgrade orcs, they do not create the bionics themselves, and will purchase them from a mech boy to further their experiment.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of why there needs to be that flow
Yeah.
of money from
Yeah.
one orc to another.
Yeah, so they got to buy new stuff. It's a business as well. Like this whole thing is an economy, right? So
Yeah.
the Pain
Yeah.
Boys are no different. They're doctors. They need new supplies. They need new shit. So
They're just gonna get theirs extortionately.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants to visit a Pain Boy, you know, unless they have
No.
to, right? Whereas everyone wants the new truck or the new gun or
Unless
whatever.
you
from the Mech
absolutely
Boy.
love bionics.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Unless you want a full cyborg body or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and there are like orcs called cyborgs. Cyborgs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they do just like bionicking themselves.
They want to replace as much of their living flesh with
Either they like it or the pain.
Somebody likes
the pain
it.
boy really likes
yeah,
it.
one of the two. They must have a good relationship.
Yeah.
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 I want metal teeth. He's like, no, they're no good to me. You don't get those. It's like, okay.
It's common to see a pain boy surrounded by grot orderlies, and they just help him carry out, his gruesome healings.
Yeah, like most odd boys, right? They're always surrounded by a litter of grots or grouchlings that are running around doing
Yeah.
this shit.
Yeah.
They're too busy doing what they are born, or not born, but what they've grown to do.
Yeah.
To let little things like carrying, like moving blood and guts and
Yeah.
stuff stop them. Like
Yeah.
when they chop a leg off, they're done with that leg. That grot needs to get rid of it so they can put the new leg on.
Exactly.
That leg's dinner, actually.
Well, the grot
So-
has to cook it.
Yeah, so the grot cook comes in, takes the leg.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And they probably got experimented on. The Pain Boy is like, I have this new medical procedure.
Absolutely.
Come here.
I have this new squig, and I want to find out what's in it. So let me kill it and put everything on you and see what happens.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Pain Boys are not only interested in orc medicine, but have also been known to experiment on Xenos races as well. But since no one is durable as an orc, they'll probably all just die in surgery. It's
Yeah.
tough to
Yeah,
tough to cut a human in half and
Orcs
sew into
don't
another human.
use anesthetic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they don't put people under.
Yeah.
So like they're used to just cutting other orcs open and being like, "You're fine, right?"
So
Like,
it's no longer surgery, it's torture. Like it becomes a
but
doctor's
it's called
table
surgery.
to just a straight up torture chamber where they just get it cutting open in the hopes of fixing him.
Yeah.
But could you imagine a Pain Boy's mind? Like he splits open a Tyranid. He must have a field day. He must be like, "What the fuck is this? This is cool." Like can you imagine their reactions? Like I didn't know they actually he cut open different races. Like are they hoping to gain knowledge from different
I have no
studying
idea.
anatomy? Are they just having fun? Maybe they're cutting off
like-
a talon they want to give to another orc.
I like
don't
to see it as
Yeah.
an obsession. Like they can't help
Yeah.
it but try and find out what's inside.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Don't like that.
they gotta cut open an orc and see what's inside. They're gonna do the same to a Yumi. You
Yeah.
know?
God, imagine being a space marine on a Pain Boy table and just having the Pain Boy see all the new stuff, how large the space marine, all the extra organs, all the extra shit. Kind of interesting.
That there was a story of like a bunch of Primaris Marines caught by an orc pain boy.
Mad
Ah.
Snick.
Yeah, but the only thing I know about it is just the quote is, "It did not end well."
Okay. That's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So they got a couple different ranks, or maybe not ranks, but different titles.
Yeah.
Different.
Kinds
Sure.
of pain boys.
Yeah.
So you got Pain Boys. These are your run-of-the-mill docs. They find joy in surgery, experimenting, and making a profit for their skill.
Makes sense.
That's your standard guys.
Yeah, just your standard Pain Boy.
And then you have bad docs. These are Pain Boys. They're outcasts and are normally freebooters. Are crazy enough to seek their services out. So only freebooters are crazy
Yeah.
enough to seek their services out. If the Pain Boys, they're eccentric. The bad docs are outright crazy. They perform the most bizarre of experiments, such as attaching two orcs together, holy shit, swapping your brain out with squigs, or replacing your heart with a warp generator.
just to see how it works.
These guys are insane.
Yeah.
Like
That-
they have no serviceable
No.
intent in what they're doing. They're just
No.
they're just doing it to see, does this work?
Yeah.
Does it do anything?
They're mentally unstable from even Ork standards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have surgery tools to fucking play with, which is terrifying. Oh, man.
Seeking medical attention from a bad doc can sometimes be worth it, as they never charge, so you get free stuff, and they view surgery itself as payment. So
they
you
just
could-
love it so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
and you could end up with something pretty cool.
You could.
Yeah.
You definitely could.
It's kind of Ork that, like, you know, the regular pain boy, you know, he needs teeth so he can buy new supplies and keep on top of his shit. These guys are like, I don't need new supplies. I'll just use
just need
whatever I
corpses,
want.
yeah.
CB and surgery tool to implement on whatever the fuck I want to do. The same way they can take anything and have it adapt to their needs.
Yeah.
And, you know, fill their eccentric mental health fucking whatever
Yeah.
their requirements.
Get their rocks off by cutting things open and attaching
Man,
stuff.
I want to make an army that's just like being butchered experiments of bad dogs.
Every single time we do an episode like this, where
Yeah.
we get into like the workings of individual things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see things like this.
Get
Like I want to
inspiration.
do it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's bad.
Like an army of orcs where there's just two orcs built into one. They're just all these monstrosities.
yeah.
Yeah. And the perfect way to go about doing that would be they have pain bosses, which is their final kind of thing that they have. So a pain boss attains the rank eventually, and they become known as a pain boss. And they will have large retinue of cyborgs, machine and orc fusions as their guardians. These orcs will lead the WOG of their own.
So in the same
Yeah.
way that a mech boss can lead a WOG, so
Yeah.
can a pain boss.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique.
And it's kind of it's
Yeah, I mean,
interesting
Yeah,
to
and
think
you
of
can
like,
do, your crazy, weird abomination army.
yeah, exactly. Where like
Yeah.
they just attract things. Like they would just attract a lot of pain boys.
Well, think about the
Right.
mentality of it, right? Like a mech boy, even just a regular war boss, they're all about chaos and war and fighting and rah 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 and like and negativity. Essentially, it's inflicting pain on others, which brings them joy. A pain boy is the opposite. It's like they're actually healing everyone. They're useful because they keep everyone alive and happy. Their use isn't against others; it's to support their own. So it's this kind of
You're
backwards,
such an
like
optimistic
Oh
person.
my
hippie
God.
mentality
I
of
feel
like.
that's like a little. I think they still like inflicting pain.
And I'm sure,
That's
but
that Aussie optimism.
Using
Yeah.
words alive and happy when it comes to orcs is not allowed.
well, it's the orc standard of happiness, which are, you know, fighting and chopping. But to have a pain boy that has done that so much to the point where they become a pain boss, where they're revered amongst their peers for
Yeah.
keeping everyone alive instead of going in there, picking up an axe and attacking.
Yeah.
Maybe they still do that.
It's an
but
interesting like.
Yeah.
How would this WOG look differently from a mech WOG, or
Yes.
just a standard knob that turned into a war boss WOG?
Yeah.
right?
substantially different, which is
Yeah.
so it's unique. It's
It
really
is.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. War
More
games.
story making.
They're the models look pretty cool too. They're like they're pretty modded out, and they have like mechanical hands with syringe fingers.
Yeah.
It's pretty cartoonish, but
Just
it's
sick.
funny.
Yeah.
And you know, like another hand is like a saw or something. You know,
Yeah.
Some creepy shit, some Halloween shit. That's
Yeah,
okay. It's
yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
yeah, like the most nightmarish doctor you could imagine.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's a
Imagine-
pain.
Like an
100%.
orc hospital.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
a dark or creepy hospital? That's
Yeah.
some haunted house stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Wargame exclusive, they make a bunch of cool orc bionics. They have like, probably 30 different types of like legs and arms and it's
to
very-
do an
That's cool.
entire army
Yeah.
where there's like it's led by a pain boss and
Yeah.
everyone has bionics.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the reason they were led by the pain boss is because he fixed them at some
It's
point.
true.
There's your
If
line.
that's your
Yeah, now
story,
they're just
and
going
now
to
they
love.
have like
Yeah.
a really crazy loyalty to him
Exactly.
because he doesn't abandon people. For him it's selfish because he loves experimenting
Correct.
on people,
Yeah.
but they all see it as in like he's keeping us alive.
You saved my life. I owe you.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
No,
Yeah.
that's- boom, someone write a story.
Someone send in a painted army of exactly the same. We're gonna have shelves soon.
Yeah, send us a whole army, please.
PO box, whatever the fuck it is.
All right, another kind of odd boy.
Contards?
Nope. Whoa.
Sorry, what?
First of all, that's Dylan. Watch your fucking mouth.
Hey, man. Hey,
You keep your
you
mouth.
invited me on this
You keep your
podcast.
fucking voice down.
Get all the Dylan you can fucking take, all right?
Someone's gonna fucking hear you.
What's our Runt ads? All right, ads.
A runt
AKA
herds, also known as a slaver.
These orcs carry out important roles in orc society.
Yes. So they carry out two important roles, right? One of them is to watch over the growth of squigs and grots, and they farm them with something akin to passion, as they feel their work is an ancient and they feel, I guess is important, they feel their work is an ancient and well-respected orc profession.
See, orcs want to see other orcs happy. This is at its core a hippie-loving culture. Okay,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is just little peace and flowers, guys. Just want the little orcs to get along too. You know, how cuddly. What a cuddly dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they grow everything. They grow all types of orcoids, essentially. Everything from squids to grots to even
Everything.
orcs, you know.
Yeah. They're farmers
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
slavers.
Yeah.
Because what they farm is alive.
Yeah, yeah.
And they own it like property.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are in charge of feeding the wog with their squigs and also sometimes maybe the grots, you know, if you got a misbehaving grot. As well as providing beasts of war and the control of the grots that they run aimlessly around in massive herds.
Yeah. So because grots, there's so many of them in such like a large force kind of in like orc society, but nobody wants to deal with them.
No.
Because they're kind of
They're
little,
crawling on you.
They're annoying.
Licking your feet and stuff.
An
yeah.
ocean.
Always in your crap trying to steal stuff.
Yeah, always trying to steal your teeth.
Yeah, exactly. So they give
Your
them,
literal teeth in your mouth, yeah.
yeah, when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
They give them to runt herds, and runt herds are like responsible
Yeah.
for like these hordes of grots. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where like their slavers aspect comes in, is that they they're
Someone's got to deal with them.
They're
I
responsible.
mean, there's so many of them. They're fucking everywhere. So, like,
Yeah.
some orcs have got to take the job of, well, someone's got to keep these things in line. Otherwise, they may overrun us one day or some shit. There's more of them, right? It's fucking, it's an ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing they do is they also grow like all the big creatures, so like squigoffs and like all the big creatures. So it's not just managing little grots and stuff. They sometimes are also managing giant fucking dinosaurs.
Squigoffs.
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
bigger than houses.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
Training them to sit, roll over, you know, the
play
essentials.
dead.
Yeah.
Fetch.
Because they love living creatures.
Back
And they
to
show compassion. My argument stands.
Occasionally they will lead or prod, you know. It's a very specific type of leading. Grots into battle and compel them to stay by threat of grab a stick. Which is basically just a stick. It's like one of those like dinosaur head grabber toys where you have like the
I can actually picture them using that.
yeah, it's like on the pole and you got a little trigger on the end that chomps.
Oh man.
So they can both poke and grab. That is the functionality of this item.
They're-
That is important.
They're described as being so good at, getting the
Deft, I think was
deft,
the word.
Right.
deft at this, the function of hooking or grabbing these grots, that they will, with one smooth motion, hook the grot and flip it into a minefield if it's misbehaving. And
it's
we're like,
fluid.
what the fuck? There's just minefields lying around? Like,
No, the grab
Yeah,
is,
for the orcs to play in.
yeah, clearly.
it's an extension of themselves. Like, it's a part of them, obviously. Yeah.
chaos.
While there are examples of run herds using the grots for monetary gains, it would seem that most of the slavers simply relish their task and obtain fulfillment from the simple pleasure of owning other orcs.
That's right.
Ah, so that's where it comes from. So it's not
That's
just
where-
compassion.
That's my thought anyway.
It's a self-serving. Look how many heads I'm boss of. Look at all these things I have control over.
Exactly. Like if
So
people
it's,
want grots, like if a pain boy
yeah.
wants a grot, like to work in his operations
Yeah,
rooms, right?
yeah.
He goes to you for it.
Yeah. No,
Right?
so it's almost a form of currency. Yeah.
So, well, that's the way Eric see it. I see it way more as like an actual currency, like all the other systems, where it's like Pain Boy gives the runt herd actual teeth for some grots. You know, it's an actual like the runt herd is like selling up this grot. This grot's really good at holding this object. You know, like
Do you think that's their motivation to be a runt herd? They say it's
for teeth.
They don't
think it's
have a
profitable.
motivation.
Joy and
They
teeth.
think it's profitable.
There is no motivation
Oh,
to
you're
be a
right,
runt
yeah.
herd because they're an odd boy and it's in them whether they want
Yeah.
it to be or not.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah.
Like a mech boy is going to tinker with shit. It's just he won't tinker with your shit
Mm.
until you give him teeth.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And
Right.
the run herd's currency is I can give you
Yeah.
grots because I know grots and this is what my life is.
Exactly.
Therefore, take my
Yeah.
grots.
So you got to remember that they're
Yeah.
doing this because they have to.
Yeah, it's
in their blood.
And it's an ego thing as well because they're happy to control 10,000 grots. You know what I mean? It's like cool.
Exactly.
This is dope.
Their ability to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the very last odd boy that we have on here is Weird Boys. And everyone knows these ones because these are the psychers.
Hey.
So
The
these
bad thing, though,
yeah, we're not going to talk about them
we're
in this
not
episode.
talking about them.
Wait, actual?
No, we're
Yeah.
not.
But they're so cool.
I know.
Why the fuck would we
So,
not talk
and here's
about
my
them?
decision on why. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of misconceptions about like how orcs actually function with psychic powers, and to get into it, I think it really needs its own episode because then we can talk about like the orcs' innate ability to like affect things around them psychically and like.
Yeah,
you
what's
know.
the difference between WOG energy and psychic energy?
Yeah.
Like, can you access psychic energy without a WOG? Like, is it even possible? Like, can blanks affect WOG energy?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's
a lot
there's
of
more than
questions.
just talking about weird boys when
Yeah.
you want to actually talk about how they work.
So you're gonna have a discussion. Are you claiming to have an answer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They got a
Oh,
lot of it
shit.
worked
There's a
out.
lot. It's,
And-
it's
Oh,
just
shit.
misconceptions
Yeah.
that people have.
And especially with Games Workshop, like over the past 30 years, they've definitely shifted how WOG energy actually works.
Oh, they've even shifted just how orcs work.
Oh, they've
on
shifted
like
everything,
but
really,
orcs on
yeah.
like a very like big level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
Like technology no longer works just because orcs think it works.
Yeah.
They have completely done away with that.
Yeah, that's not a
It
thing.
now works because they actually work.
Yeah, a
And
human can pick up a gun and shoot it.
Right, and it will work the same ratio, the same rate that an orc would make it work.
Yeah.
Right. Like a lot of people are just still holding on to that idea.
Because it's cool.
It is cool. It's awesome. It's very flavorful, but it's just not how Games Workshop is writing orc lore at this point.
Well, fuck. Stay tuned, motherfucker.
Yeah, so really, for the completion of this episode, all you need to know about Weird Boys is like their technical proficiency is they're able to tap into the warp. They know like
The WOG.
or the WOG, the warp, the WOG. We'll get into it. This is why we need to get.
Yeah,
into
that's
it.
why we
Warp
need
and
the
warp.
episode.
So
all right.
And when these powers do manifest, because they can tap into it, they appear to be like warp powers, but they are different.
yeah, cool.
I'm fucking interested.
But there are-
That's so cool.
We will leave you with one thing though, and that's
Yeah.
weird bosses.
Yeah,
So,
so-
there's weird boys and weird bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird bosses are, just bosses that lead entire WOGs.
No, actually,
there's one story of Weird Boy leading his WOG, and it's called the Weird WOG because like everything's so
Which is awesome. Yeah,
because
very
it's so
cool, yeah.
psychically overcharged.
Yeah, just like how all the other odd boys do, you attract all those other people, right? So it's just
And
like,
especially with like the WOG energy too. Like,
it would be even more focused to be manipulated by these guys.
Yeah.
So it's a WOG with a disproportionate amount of weird boys in it. Like
Yeah.
I love the flavor that you get by making these guys your war bosses.
yeah.
It's so
It
much
changes
cooler.
a lot.
So
Yeah.
one little thing we didn't really talk about is runt herders. Do you think they could be a war boss?
That's a good point because we made if a Mech boy can be a Mech boss, if a pain boy can be a pain boss, why not a run herds? We haven't seen one. Do you know of any?
There is one like story about
He's more of a mercenary.
where he is a mercenary and he hires out his grots to a bunch of people and
Yeah,
he's got
right.
like famous stealth commando grots or something.
Yeah.
Kind of
it-
fucking great.
It's one of the few ones where you actually see like runt herds like caring about other people though, because
Yeah.
like normally they're like content to farm and to grow and to be slavers, but
Yeah.
this one is like actively going out and selling his wares of
Yeah.
grots, right?
Yeah.
So
The one thing I maybe would think would be so if the runt herd actually did do a WOG, orcs wouldn't see it as a WOG. They wouldn't see it as a proper WOG because like the WOG would be made up of grots and squigs and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't think that the runt herd is leading a bunch of actual orcs.
what if he's big enough?
But he's not like
could be.
his core role kind of like detracts from that.
Because you got to remember that while these are odd, they
Yeah.
are still orcs,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
love fighting and they
Yeah.
love
And
slugging
if they fight a
everything.
lot, they can grow.
Exactly. So if he's like a super abusive runt herd, right?
Yeah.
He just loves beating grots.
Well, at that
And
point,
so that makes that's terrible.
I mean, at that point, instead of commanding grots, he's now commanding orcs.
Right,
Therefore,
yeah.
he's no longer a run herder. So it's
well,
like
he's still a runt herder.
you know what I mean? Like then it's both, and that's kind of weird.
But
like
in the same way that a weird boy, like a weird
Yeah.
boss, is a bit of both. He's a weird
sure.
boy, but he also is commanding armies.
Yeah.
Right? And there's like you have to remember that these odd boys can touch multiple things
Yeah.
and still be orcish.
Yeah.
So like
I'm not opposed to them.
Yeah, neither
leading
am
it. I just think more often than not, it would be him leading like some type of like grot army,
Easily, you
and
can
it's
imagine
not
that.
it's not a proper WOG.
I don't think I don't think many orcs are fighting runt herds.
No, I think look, an orc looks at a pain boy that does his job well and wants to support him because it's like, holy shit, you can make us better. He looks
Yeah.
at a Mech and goes, holy fuck, you can build stuff for us. Let's follow you. He looks at a runt herds and he doesn't go, god damn, you take good care of these grots. Let's follow you into
make
battle.
a delicious food. Like,
But-
you
Yeah,
really
yeah.
see- yeah.
Like runt herds are responsible for beer.
That's vital.
Maybe that's just orcish enough to qualify
and beer
that.
is pretty fucking important to an orc.
Yeah.
But they also are responsible for food
Yeah.
and other orcs because they
Interesting.
grow them and massive beasts. So like they do provide something.
Oh yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, I don't know. Like personally, I don't see
They're
really.
like housewives.
I don't see them in any important roles. That's what I'm trying to say. Like housewives.
All
Like
they're missing,
housewives.
all they're missing is giving birth to the grots, and then it's like,
Well, they're
It's just a
growing.
metaphorical- it's a
they're literally
metaphorical birth.
They're growing now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Well, how do you think they're seated?
I don't know actually.
I don't want to know about orc seeds.
Oh, that's a jacking off joke. That's why we need a camera.
There we go. Sorry, I need a camera. You can see us jack each other up.
Yeah, I don't like. If ever there was an odd boy that I would least likely to see be a war boss, it's these ones.
For sure. But it's not unforeseeable.
Of course, if someone made one and if your story was good enough, I'm gonna be on board regardless.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
gonna be
all
on
on
board with a lot of things that break lore if your story is good.
If it's properly punctuated.
Right,
and spelled.
exactly.
We just did a listener look before this. And it's just like, I honestly sometimes think I'm retarded because I'm reading it and it's like everything's misspelled and I'm like I'm struggling to
The
read it.
dyslexia is real.
Yeah, it's just like, is this me or is this them? And it's like, oh my, they forget to put one word in and it changes everything.
Fuck.
It's brutal. It's tough.
I don't know why you guys won't edit them.
You can't though, because it's.
You
Yeah.
can.
What if you
you
change-
can edit.
What
them.
if you change the feeling of what that person's trying to go by adding in words or trying to change sentences so
It's
they make
odd,
sense?
Jordan.
That's Eric's excuse.
odd.
Mine is I'm too lazy.
If someone gave you a painting, Jordan, and you hung
No,
it up on
it
your
just
wall,
sounds
would
like
you
it's-
would you put more things on it?
It's a picture of an ocean. I think that ocean needs an island.
Right, like you could,
it
but
sounds-
it's no longer
no, but
the
it
original
sounds
piece.
painful
It is
to listen.
super
Yeah.
painful.
Painful to do.
That's
Painful
what-
to listen.
Look, if I have to do it, you have to listen to it.
Or what about this crazy idea? You know, people who write it just write good, write better.
Holy
Is that,
shit.
is that they also have spell check.
You
Yeah.
spell check.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Good.
It's fine.
Okay.
Good story.
Moving along.
Oh shit.
So,
So
that,
what's an odd boy?
so that concludes Odd Boys.
Of course.
Those are the 4 types that Games Workshop has given us. Is these are, it's born in them. They have no choice. They have this knowledge and
Yeah.
they want to do it. Yeah, right. That's an odd boy.
Yep.
But there are also a lot of boys that aren't regular boys, and so like
Just a little odd.
yeah.
some
So
boys.
odd boys are boys that are odd enough not to be regular boys, but not odd enough to be odd boys. And instead of being odd boys, they're just boys that are odd.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do we
Read
need
that
bo-
again one more time.
I said odd boys are boys that are odd enough not to be regular boys, but not odd enough to be odd boys. Rather, they're just boys that are odd.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
100% like disclosure. This is mine and Eric's kind of creation, our thought
Yeah,
process.
they
Yeah.
are not called boys that are odd.
And they're not
You won't
even
find that
called
in the
odd
codex.
boys.
And they're not odd boys either.
yeah.
No.
This is just we found that these kind of worked together enough to be put together in the episode, and I thought it was hilarious to call it Odd Boys and Odd Boys.
So they just anything that's not a boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
More or
like a
less.
standard orc, when you think of, and I included this, like,
Yeah.
So there are many orcs that don't qualify to be in the Odd Boys grouping, and yet they aren't just regular boys.
Yeah.
And we'll define a regular boy as one that cares about Daka or chopping and running to the enemy with arms raised, yelling as loudly as possible.
Yeah.
Like that is a boy at its very essence. And anyone who
Yeah.
doesn't prescribe to that is odd.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Right?
even when we're going through it, oftentimes like this is a exile. They're usually exiled or they're on the outside of the tribes or whatever. Like
Yeah, like they don't fit in regular society or in culture, and people look at them weird.
yeah,
and-
they're
right?
not quite trusted.
Exactly, yeah.
They're not regular boys. They're odd for
right,
sure.
but they are not. They have no knowledge
yeah.
in them that's been given to them. This is pure preference.
Yeah.
That's the difference. here.
Personality,
Yeah.
preference of how they want to kill things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
anyone could do any of these things, and you can stop doing this at any moment. Where you can never stop being a pain boy.
Yeah.
It's in you.
There- There's examples too, yeah, of like typically storm boys, which we'll get into, will usually tend to eventually become commandos. Like they'll kind of flow sometimes. Other times they'll just be completely random.
Yeah.
You might get hit on the head and now you no longer like to be a tank buster.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
You might just get sick of it at one
it's
point.
very fluid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So these boys boys that are odd make up other flavorful aspects of life in orc society, and they fulfill niche roles in combat.
Yeah.
All right.
Makes sense. So first we have tank busters.
Yeah.
Tank busters. These are cool. So these orcs have banded together over the feeling of complete destruction of a target that a target gives them. These feeling of pride and glory have caused these orcs to compete against each other to take down the biggest and baddest of targets. After the battle is over, it's common to find tank busters going through the wreckage they wrought to claim a small token as a trophy.
That's cool.
These are commonly pieces of junk screwed onto their armor, worn as a necklace or jewelry, or even bolted or screwed onto their body.
That's where that tire hat comes from.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Later.
Can eat those sweet tires for my head.
But it's cool to
fascinating,
know
yeah.
that like they'll specifically like target vehicles.
They like wrecking vehicles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah.
very vehicles, and then they take trophies.
Yeah.
They are very sentimental about what they do, and this is just a preference. They just prefer to see big explosions and to see these vehicles crash out of the sky, right?
They're big game hunters,
Exactly.
but for cars.
It's exactly
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
They are big game hunters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most tank busters are satisfied with using their standard rocket launchers to destroy enemies from a great distance, but some are crazier. Tank busters want to get even closer to feel the heat of the explosion. These idiots will attach rockets to massive hammers that they then swing into the hulls of enemy vehicles, most times incapacitating themselves as well.
It's a very high chance that you kill yourself when you do this.
Clearly, but that's the exhilaration.
Because
They need it.
is.
They
gotta
need
feel the heat.
Gotta feel the heat.
It's wild to me. Yeah.
It's such a funny looking model. It's just like a wooden pole with a rocket on the end.
Which is ridiculous.
They just swing them into vehicles.
A melee missile. It's like, what the fuck? Those melee missiles.
Holy
Those goddamn
Oh
melee
my
missiles.
God. The first time a tank buster wrecks a vehicle, there's a strange ritual. The tank buster mob will find the downed vehicle, eat them, and drink the engine oil of the wrecked vehicle. This is referred to as getting tanked up.
So yeah, they'll eat the crew. They just
That's wild.
It's like it's an initiation ritual for like the newest member of their tank buster crew.
I'm gonna remember that next time I'm drunk. The colloquialism of being tanked. It's like not that tanked up, I guess. Like, could be worse.
I haven't drunk my engine oil yet.
That's fascinating. Though.
Eating somebody.
It's kind of sentimental. It's kind of
It
interesting.
creates
It's
like a memory.
Yeah. It's like it goes into the joy, the thrill they have of doing it, where they have
Yes.
they feel the necessity to do this, or they want to do it, and
Yeah.
it makes them complete or fulfills their role, I guess.
Yeah.
Aside from using their rocket launchers and tank hammers, tank busters also use bomb squigs, which basically is what it sounds like. It's a squig with bombs attached to them that detonate on contact. This is like the Russian thing where they had dogs with bombs strapped to them that
And they
ran
made
at
them run.
tanks.
Yeah.
Tank buster bombs, manhole-sized orc discs that attach magnetically to vehicles to be detonated.
So magnetic dicks. That's what you said.
Yeah, dicks.
Yeah. Just orc dicks.
Orc dicks.
Don't want no splinters in that dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the in World War II. They get the gym sock. They put some dynamite. They cover it in what is it, like oil or whatever it is, and slap it to the side of the tank. A similar thing. It's just a orcish version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Those are tank busters. So they are not regular orcs
No.
by any means
No.
whatsoever. Yeah.
Eating people and feeling the heat of exploding tank on your skin. Yeah.
Congratulating each other. Another thing is that there's actually a lot of tank busters that don't have like a confirmed kill yet.
Sure, I guess.
What do you mean?
Well, so
like really only one would kill a vehicle.
exactly, yes. Every time they shoot at a vehicle, only one orc is actually getting that kill.
Okay.
So a lot of times tank busters, like really accomplished ones, have like groupies around them that are like other orcs that want to be tank busters but aren't quite tank busters yet, and they just listen in rapture as he tells stories of times when he destroyed vehicles.
The Land Raider he vanquished that one time.
Yeah.
It's kind of great.
So good.
It's pretty cool.
No, tank busters are sweet. You can just imagine him in one hand, he's just looking at an axe, and the other is a missile. He's like just debating between the two, and instead of picking up a gun to put the missile in, he just runs at a tank with it in his hand.
Holy smokes.
Fucking cool.
Up next, we have war bikers. War bikers are boys that live for the freedom and the air flowing through their hair as they ride down that road, that desert road. Leather vest, big old titty bitch on the back. Yeah.
Mullet waving in the wind.
Mullet waving in the wind.
I go where the road.
Exactly. So they get off by riding their choppas, trikes, or whatever wheeled motorized vehicles, preferably 2 wheels, 2 balls,
2 balls, 2 wheels.
That's the rule.
Yep.
But sometimes you got to do 3 because you're
You got
older.
3 balls.
Oh,
It's a bionic enhancement. You just saw the Pain Boy, and then you have to go see the Mech to get your bike altered.
yeah. While not always speed freaks, war bikers love the thrill of going fast and chopping off heads.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense. They
Yeah, makes
love
sense.
that throttle, the feel of the throttle.
The rumble of the engine underneath them.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
It says like the orcs don't believe in suspension.
Oh my god!
So after battle, they're said to vibrate for, depends on how long the battle. But
Sure.
they're said to vibrate after battle. 'Cause they're still like going from the engine.
Is there just pieces
Shocks.
of their vehicle in a trail behind them
Jesus
that have
Christ.
vibrated off?
Yeah.
Yeah, the feeling of momentum is what they're addicted to, I think. Just the fast travel.
Yeah. Thick clouds of smoke billowing on the horizon and the loud roar of engines is a telltale sign that war bikers are coming. Yeah, these are not eco-friendly
No.
bikes.
By no means.
Yeah, the richer the orc, the more custom his chopper will be, often supporting a bigger engine or many guns.
Yeah.
So if you got money, you can make a bigger bike.
Yeah.
Bigger engines, whatever you want.
There's some cool bikes out there
Yeah.
where they have like a sidecar with like a grot gunner on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some cool
They
bikes.
probably got bikes that disassemble into smaller bikes. That disassemble
Well,
into
probably
smaller
just
bikes.
break off.
They're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Eventually, it's just like 5 grots on unibikes, like
Yeah.
just a single tire.
One bike wasn't good enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so that's war bikers. They just love going fast typically. They also love the loud engine. They love
Yes,
like the
yeah.
vibration.
Yeah,
They
because
love-
you can be a war biker because you love the speed of the bike.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you could be a war biker because you love the feel of the
Yeah.
bike beneath you,
Yeah.
right? And
yeah, I think also what wouldn't go into that is many other bikes around you all at once. Which
yeah,
enhance the
yeah.
whole momentum of
exactly,
it. Yeah.
Being in that like circle of 50 other bikes
That
around
deafening
you.
roar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
so much
drowning
smoke.
anything out.
Yeah,
you
all
can
that.
feel the vibrations like
Yes.
You're literally causing like earthquakes as you're traveling through.
Yeah.
More engines, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll have guns on them and all that.
Of
kind
course.
shit,
Well,
and
you're not an
they'll-
orc if you don't have some way to kill your
Yeah.
enemy.
if you don't have some daka and some
Or some
choppa.
choppa. Yeah, exactly.
But it's odd. It's not different, you know. Instead of putting on boots, you're putting on a bike. You know, that makes you like more odd than a regular boy, which makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we have Commandos. They're the sneaky boys.
You's never hear me coming.
This is the ASMR orc.
I feel like you could always hear it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because he'll tell you.
I'm coming for you.
Exactly.
but sneakily.
You've got no idea, but I'm coming for you.
He's been sending you notes because he thinks like it's like quieter than telling you. You're getting them in the mail for like a week.
He would just fucking tell you. It's like,
Commandos. Commandos enjoy nothing more than sneaking up to an unsuspecting target and only revealing themselves moments before the killing blow, but with just enough time for their enemies to make a, quote, goofy look.
oh shit! Look.
and we'll get more goofy looks in the studio when we get the cameras. We can showcase some more. Commandos value cunning, intelligence, and initiative, often coming up with plans to eliminate enemy sentries before the main war arrives.
And that's very different from an
Yeah.
orc boy. An orc
Yeah.
boy doesn't give a shit about planning.
the fucking opposite. Yeah, to be
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, it's a very, very unique and odd kind of orc.
Yeah, whole campaigns have been like stolen from the main WOG by like the Commandos going in, eliminate the entire enemy. Then the whole WOG shows up and it's like, where's all the bad guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they fight themselves and collapses.
Yeah,
war.
exactly,
That's it.
yeah.
Because the Commandos are off hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine.
And they're here to fight.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to fight you, they're going to fight each other.
They're
Could you
fighting.
imagine if they rocked up to have a whole-on war and there's nothing? They
Yeah.
would
Just dead
obliterate
bodies, yeah.
themselves. Yeah, exactly. They would fucking kill themselves.
Yeah. So they utilize camouflage, often rubbing mud, putting twigs in their squig hair.
Oh my god, it's like the episode of
I know what you're talking about.
Fuck.
That D&D with
Yes.
Dan Harmon.
Harmon Quest.
Harmon Quest.
The first episode with the goblin, and he's talking about, he's like, every rock I jump behind, I grab more mud and put it on my body. Every time I roll, you see more tree covering me. Oh my god.
Yeah. So they rub mud on their body, blood, dung, whatever they can get their hands on to help them blend into their surroundings. They're super sneaky. The super sneaky ones will paint themselves purple because you know that old saying.
Because nobody has ever seen a purple orc.
So that's the super sneaky, the super cunning ones.
Dun, dun, dun. Which is great. I mean, that's very orky. And that what makes them weird, even in their sayings.
It is odd.
It's definitely odd.
Commandos are often viewed by other orcs as unorky because of their stealth tactics. So often commandos will separate themselves from the tribe, spending months on end alone.
It's kind of cool to think that they're like, no, like we don't even want to be here. We want to be scouting, and we want to be like doing advanced missions, like super stealthy. So it kind of serves a dual purpose at that point.
Yeah. All the commandos are just sneaking on each other.
They're playing like games.
Yeah.
Like subtlety shouldn't be a part of the orc language.
Yeah, and that's why they're kind of like the outcasts. That's what makes them odd.
It's so
We did it.
That's
We used logic.
There's your connections. But I mean, like, are they the least orky in that sense? Like, how do we define orcs before? They want to run to battle, grab an axe, and charge, right?
Yeah.
This is the opposite of that. So I mean, out of all
I
the
don't know, because
oddness,
they still fight and they still kill.
Of course,
they
naturally.
are still using choppa and
And they
dagger.
do prefer close combat too.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're snipers necessarily, right?
instead
they're
of-
still cutting off heads and
They're
slitting throats.
they're
But
still
good point.
orcs.
But it's relative to orc culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't compare it to like Terran culture, but
no.
I would like to.
Yeah, instead of running in and yelling, "Whoa!" They're just running in and
They're
yelling,
whispering. They're whispering walk.
No, yeah, exactly. They'll go right behind you, and in your weird ear, they'll whisper, "Wow!" And it's that moment where you jump.
"See that goofy look." They're poking their enemy until they see the goofy look and then slit their throat.
Yeah.
It's like,
Commandos are kind of cool too because
yeah.
they will give themselves like think like Rainbow Six characters, how they have like their siege names or whatever.
Yeah, okay. They're going there.
Echo 4.
Yeah.
And,
They're playing Delta Force as they're actually in battle, right?
Exactly.
They're playing the role.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So they have a bunch of funny ones online that I was reading.
Pretty good stuff.
Oh, it's fucking great.
All right, Mad Boys. With the advent of Gork's Grin, the appearance of the Mad Boys has become more and more common. And these orcs' minds have been twisted, stunted, or changed by the warp, or they have just developed incorrectly, and there's nothing warp energy about it. And they've lost what little sanity they might have possessed as regular orcs.
So what role does a mad boy have?
They-
Or is this just a
they
byproduct?
don't.
This is just a
Kind
byproduct.
of, yeah. It's like it's an accident, really, is what it is. Like every orc should at the very least be an orc.
Naturally.
And then you can be an odd boy or a boy that is odd or whatever. But these aren't even this. So their only unifying trait, like of being mad boys, is that each one is unique and their madness affects each individual differently. So they're often seen with outlandishly bright clothes. And will carry rusty buckets or stuffed squigs into like battle as weapons. Like
of course.
that's what they're
rusty bucket
using. Yeah.
weapons,
Or they'll have like pins from stick bombs and they'll throw pins at enemies and just stand there and wait for them to explode.
Holy fuck. 'Cause their minds are broken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In an even more weird orky way.
Because regular orcs are already messed up.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
these ones just have there's no neurons firing in those brains.
Zero logic. All logic is thrown out the window.
Exactly,
These guys
yeah.
are just insane. They should be in an asylum. Like they're just fucking psycho.
But there are no asylums.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I mean, so do these exist in like most wars, or like how? Well, they could be more and more common, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
as the universe expands.
Exactly.
Yeah,
With like Gork's Grin, they're just appearing more and more. Which like there's an aspect of it is somehow connected to like warp connection. Oh, but it also can happen without that, right? It's not like they're new. They've been around for a long time. So it's difficult to contain or control Mad Boys. You said they're insane. especially since they seem to automatically congregate together.
That's awesome.
Which is, yeah, it's like a magnet to other mad boys.
That's like all orcs. They always just find like
Yeah, they find the people they fit with.
yeah.
Oh no! Imagine a boss mad boy that manages to convince a whole group of orcs of his own insanities.
Oh my God.
That's true, and then they all wave under that banner, right, and go into battle under some pretense
I
that
love
like.
it.
Like
I love the
they
idea.
think something is true or it's not.
I
Yeah.
love the idea of a mad boy that's a boss.
That has just convinced other orcs. He's just convinced
Oh,
them. This is
man.
real.
So the task of containing or controlling them is given to weird boys, but it's never really said why they're given. So I have like a
Yeah.
couple reasons why I think they might have. Number one is no one else wanted the task, and weird boys are already kind of outcasts, so they just stuck them with them. Another one is like orcs might think mad boys are just like weird boys, but they just aren't manifesting powers, but they're still weird.
Yeah, that's what
Right?
I thought
They're
when you
still
kind of.
connected to the psychic somehow.
Okay.
And then another one could be the assuming that weird boys who use like WOG psychic energy are able to assume some kind of control over this rabble. But there's no proof that any of those are true.
Yeah.
It's like the only one who could contain it is the wizard, and magic.
Yeah,
is the
that
only
could be a
answer we
thought.
have.
That could be a thought. is
Maybe,
like,
yeah. I mean, they're dressed similarly too. Like the weird boys all have eccentric clothing. They're all brightly colored, all that kind of stuff. The mad boys are similar in that regard.
Yeah, people could just see the connection
Yeah.
between the two, and they're like, "Nah, you do it. You deal with it."
I mean, yeah, because weird boy is a pretty crazy to a regular boy. I mean, orcs are crazy, but yeah, I think the
Yeah,
mad
weird
boys.
boys are always like shifting around with like stones and like the
Yeah.
stones say we go north.
In terms of the insanity kind of spectrum, like they're both in the same area. I'd imagine.
sure, yeah.
That's fucking interesting.
An interesting oxymoron exists for mad boys. While they're generally a nuisance and as likely to hinder as aid, mobs of them are seen as a good fortune, and therefore they have a special place in orc culture.
It makes no sense.
That's so good.
Like, there's no good reason to keep them there.
They're like pets, or like your retarded cousin, like his family, but you gotta have him around. You know what? He's
But to
just
see a
kinda
lot of
cute.
them together, you're like, "Oh, that's good."
They think it's cute.
And that's why I love the
think
idea.
it's cute.
I love the idea of the boss.
yeah.
Right? So you have a mad boy boss who is attracting mad boys to himself, creating a massive mob of mad boys, which other orcs see as good fortune. So they join them. Like, I love it.
Look at this collection of bad boys we have. Keep
I
it
don't
going.
think that. I don't think it doesn't. I think it does kind of make sense in a weird way.
Yeah. Explain.
Tell us why.
Only because I only have human cultures to relate it to, but there are like human cultures that have like eccentric beliefs or mythologies about like even people who in modern day we would understand as like mentally ill. They would either be it would be one or the other. They would either be like a demon, like possessing the community, or they would be like a good omen, like sent a divine person sent by the gods, and they would, because they're so eccentric and weird and different. And who knows how those mythologies develop, but it is like very mythological almost.
Yeah, it could be like it
good
could
point.
also have a religious aspect.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it. Like
yeah,
Gork, like Gork. These are Gork touched,
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But it's not uncommon in like cultures for like eccentric characters to be sort of deified or turned into some kind of like good omen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like these guys are uniquely special in the way that they don't fit in like any other orc, Therefore, you
Yeah.
need an explanation of why we should keep them around.
Yeah,
You go
that's
one of two
true.
ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Either they're useless because they're insane, get rid of them,
Yeah.
or let's make these things awesome. Like,
Yeah,
what else
yeah.
we're going to do with them, right? So you turn them into this cool cultural pet or whatever the fuck it is, or
Yeah.
good omen,
Totally.
and collect them together, yeah. It's so funny. Yeah,
Only
man.
one of two things have ever happened with mad boys. Either they fucked you over or they won the battle. There is no in
Yeah.
between.
It's probably a high risk reward.
Yeah.
yeah, they're said like, so okay, I guess this is just ties into the last note I have.
Yeah.
They are mostly seen as an asset on the battlefield, provided they are given the freedom they require. So this freedom allows them to confound enemy commanders as they are completely and utterly unpredictable.
yeah.
So that's why they're used, because they're like, we don't know what to do, so send in the mad boys.
They almost sound chaos.
there is an aspect of chaos
Like,
for chaos's
nah,
sake in them.
It's like it's a humorous chaos. It's like
Yeah, I know.
It's a way higher joke version as opposed to
Yeah.
evil, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's an irony, really, because
Yeah.
orcs like
I guess it's more maybe chaos in the more literal sense.
I see what you're saying.
Not as, like, chaos
the,
power.
The
Chaotic.
Warhammer sense. Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go on the battlefield instead of fighting, they just started doing yoga or
Yeah.
just like some
Yeah, yeah.
shit like that, right?
Maybe.
And the generals are like, "What the fuck are these?" And then they get killed by commandos from behind.
yeah, they are an odd thing, but I'm glad they're included in orc culture.
Yeah,
Like,
that's so
Absolutely.
interesting.
yeah.
It's eccentric
It-
shit.
So these don't exist on tabletop. If they were to be on tabletop, how would you flavor them rules wise? How would you like to see them modeled? Like, have you thought about anything like that?
The model itself, well, like, so there's a couple stories, right? Like, they hold rusty buckets, they
Yeah.
hold stuffed squigs,
course.
and they're known for throwing pins instead of
Grenades.
grenades because that's what they think the pins
Sure.
are like the. So if I was to model them, I would do it with clothes. They're not wearing armor, or if they are wearing armor, it's like painted really garishly.
Yeah,
Sure.
Right?
it's cardboard armor that's painted.
And then,
Yeah.
like, if I was to model them with weapons, I'm gonna put like a comb in one's hand, right, or like a squig in.
Yeah,
one's
just
hand,
completely random shit.
exactly
Yeah.
useless. That's
Yeah.
how I would do the model,
Yeah.
but they look otherwise indistinguishable from other orcs. Same
Yeah.
size,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
body, super muscly still. So same color skin.
They got retard strength for sure.
Yeah.
How would you do their rules? So
Part of me would want to give them like dice roll for their stats.
okay,
That's kind of cool.
It'd be unpredictable.
Maybe
like-
that changes per turn. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Like every
yeah.
time you want to use them, how far
Attack
can they
dice,
move?
move
How many
dice.
attacks can they get?
sure,
Right? Like
sure.
But
You integrate the random nature.
that would just really
Yeah.
suck to play with
it's pretty
because it would
RNG.
just take so long
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time you wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they used to have a bunch more random stuff like that in older editions, but
It just adds like 8th is so smooth and compact
Okay.
that this kind of takes away from that.
fair enough. Would you like to see them on tabletop?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I want to see
Yeah.
everything put into tabletop.
Oh, this is true. Okay, my bad. I'm a dumb bitch for asking you that. Yeah.
They're a distraction unit. Like their function, that's what it says, right? So I mean, something that is loud and colorful and distracting, or weird, or strange, or like odd.
Yeah.
Like, that you could incorporate that into the model, and then that's their function.
If you
as they go
want
on
to,
the
if you
tabletop.
ever wanted to paint it a clown,
Yeah.
or like an orc as a clown, he's a mad boy.
Yeah.
If ever you wanted to take like an orc and put like human armor all over him,
Yeah.
but in like like he has helmets like on his knees,
Yeah.
and he has like breastplates on his shoulders or whatever, like
Yeah.
that's a mad boy. Right? Like that would be to me like awesome
Yeah.
to see something like that. Where you have the freedom to really fuck around.
Cool. All right, up next we got flyboys.
Zoom.
While most orcs like to be firmly planted on the ground, flyboys revel in the exhilaration of flying. While a subcult of the speed freaks, going fast is secondary to the thrill of actually flying. That sensation of like
Feeling the wind in your hair again.
Yeah,
and
like-
gravity and
yeah,
the
like
G's.
the zero G's and shit like
Yeah.
that. Like they like that. That's what they enjoy.
Well, you go faster in the air, so I mean, it's like on the ground isn't fast enough. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah,
like,
that
we need
can
levels
also
to
be a
this
part
game,
of it. Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
next step
Yeah,
for speed
yeah.
freaks, right?
Yeah.
But to pilot a flying vehicle is much different than piloting a war bike. So these are pretty like crafty and unique orcs.
Yeah. Flyboys enjoy zipping past enemies in strafing runs, but are known more for their reckless dive bomb runs that don't always work out well for the pilot, but always make for a great explosion
Oh, yeah.
one way or
Okay.
the other.
So I'm kind of changing the subject here, but mechs
Yeah.
are the ones responsible for upkeep on the planes for
makes
flyboys,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
But mechs love an explosion just as much as the next orc. And it's not uncommon for mechs to intentionally create faulty stuff so they can see the explosions and laugh.
So instead of the drop bomb button, it's labeled drop bomb, but really it's turn off engine. So the
Exactly.
plane button becomes the bomb. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like we'll see that more because it's like it was mentioned multiple times when I was doing research in this. Like so it might be like, yeah, the kamikaze runs don't turn out, but they got to see a nice big explosion.
All the orcs on the ground are happy
Yeah,
about
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And consider that person who just exploded a hero and all like rebel in it. That guy's just cursing the whole way down, going motherfucker, like son of a. There's a tank hammer strapped to the nose of the plane. It's like going for it.
Oh, jeez. Other orcs often see them as mad that flyboys usually live in semi-exile state away from the rest of the tribe, which is fine by them because it just gives them more hours.
Yeah, they don't have to worry
fly.
about walking through the camp or dealing with anyone else. They just want their planes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of these kind of live on the outsides of the camp. So I'm envisioning this camp.
They're odd.
So it's like how many? There's a lot of people around the outskirts. That means how many orcs are in the center of it?
Yeah,
These regular boys, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. No, like these flyboys are sweet. Like I mean, flying orcs, man. What more do you need? What do you fucking need?
Well, I know what you need. You need fucking storm boys.
What?
That's what you need. Yeah.
Death from above. What's a
Yeah.
storm boy, Mark?
Most orcs oppose any sort of strict rules or discipline. Let me preface.
Are you a mad boy?
this?
That's the
Preface?
mad boy. stuff.
Preface this by saying storm boys are boys that strap rockets onto their back, and then they launch themselves at the enemy with these crazy rockets. And sometimes they make it, sometimes they explode. Sometimes
There's a reason why they explode though sometimes.
there is. So
So they're like suicide bombers.
no,
They're more like shock troops, like jump troops.
Yeah. Think like Space Marines with jump packs, how they use the jump pack to launch themselves into the enemy and get into close combat.
okay,
They do
okay.
that too, just with rockets. They literally take
Very, very unpredictable rockets.
Yeah.
very,
And they try and chant it. With
That's
a
how they
rocket.
jump, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
To their orcish world. And how many of those would you buy today, Mark?
Well, we'll get into that once we're done these two categories.
Okay, all right.
But most orcs oppose any sort of strict discipline, instead focusing on being the biggest and the baddest orc around. They follow authority only because it comes with a big fist and prefer running straight at the enemies instead of following a regimental tactical strategy. Storm boys often throw off this unexpected behavior pattern and join highly disciplined camps where they learn about drills, uniform tactics. This is seen as a rebellious attitude to the older orcs, and it is mostly the youths that the Storm Boys seem to attract.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that would imply that the young orcas like to.
It's like a counterculture, really.
In a way, yeah.
They're like, yeah, screw you and the fact that I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I'm going to follow drills. Like, that's how it's described.
So punk rock.
It is, yeah.
It's kind of funny, fuck.
They spend their days practicing drills, saluting their superiors, and making their uniforms.
Matching their uniforms.
Or matching
which is
their
a,
uniforms,
is a pretty
yes.
big faux pas in orc culture.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Like-
weird. So what's the tie between strapping a rocket to your back to like following all these regimented disciplines? Like why is that unique to Storm Boys? Why not? What is the connection there?
I think we'll get
Did you
into
read
it.
the next note? Is that why you're asking that question? Because it's a
I don't-
perfect.
yeah, I
it's a
don't-
perfect segue. I just don't know. I don't know if you're literally on the same
please
brave
answer,
wave.
please answer me.
All right. Well, Storm Boys feel that they have a lot to prove
Because they're young.
because they're young
Yeah.
and what they're doing is so counter to what every other orc around them is doing. And so to do this, they're always seen strapping themselves up with rockets to carry them to the front of the battlefield. So this highly controversial tool, because most orcs, they want to do it on their own feet. They want to run at the enemy. This tool allows them to engage the enemy first and prove that their disciplining and drill practice is only beneficial. That's why they're using these rockets. It's
Interesting.
truly like it's just a byproduct. They're not a storm boy because they love rockets.
Yeah.
They would be a tank buster if they love that.
Yeah.
Right? They're being a storm boy because they love the discipline and they love like being told what to do and the drills and the rockets is just an aspect of what it means to be a storm boy.
It's a tool they use to prove themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But okay, the danger of using these rockets is twofold. On one hand, they are notoriously difficult to control, and even though they do practice all the time, they do drills all the time with them. It's tough to control these things.
Makes sense.
And on the other
Just
hand,
fucking rockets.
There's just one button on it, a green button.
It just-
and that's
yeah.
all it has. And it's like, I guess I press this and let go.
and then on the other hand, a mechaniac is just as likely to give a storm boy a faulty rocket, as they also enjoy seeing other orcs blow up or crash in a cloud of flame and smoke.
So self-sabotaging. I love it.
Oh, so good.
Mechs are pretty great.
Yeah. Well, they have so much power, right? I mean, so much
Yeah.
is relying on technology, and they control it. So it makes a lot of sense. Oh man, yeah, it's a similar thing. You know, Mechs just fuck with everyone. It's so mean, including the poor Storm Boys, who are the one at the least because they try to prove themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, oftentimes Storm Boys will become Commandos just because like a lot of that discipline, that tactics, trying to, be like highly
Using actual tactics.
forward-thinking,
Yeah.
Like,
But
so
it makes sense
oftentimes they'll play
because
into that.
I get it, because if I was a youth,
Yeah.
right, and got my testosterone up or whatever it is orcs have.
Yeah.
Right? Like you see a commando and you see like storm boys, there could be an attraction to the loud noises and explosions or flying through the air that the rocket gives you, as opposed to going to a commando and learning like how to use a combat knife properly, right? So it makes sense to me why the youths are more attracted to storm boys, but eventually you grow out of that, and you're like, no, I'm gonna turn to an even more like I'm gonna explore that tactical option even more at this point.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good book. It's a sweet narrative.
That would be
An orc
fuck
growing, like shrugging off regular orc culture, like joining the Storm Boys, and then finally becoming
the
a
hero's
commando.
journey of an orc. The
That would be
progression of
very
character,
cool.
right?
I would totally read
Absolutely. Who might then like one day settle to be like a mech or a pain boy or something like that after all that work. Or like, It's very cool.
Yeah, I actually just started an orc army, and my orc army
Literally today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. And Mark's like, yo, I gotta show you something.
Check this
I was like,
out.
the fuck? Saw the studio. I'm like, oh damn, it begins. Is the first thing I said.
Yeah, but basically, like the idea of it is like an orc air force. So I'm gonna have like flyboys and planes, and then storm boys. So everything's just flying through the air. It's gonna be pretty cool like that.
It'll
And
be
Def
very
Cop
cool.
does.
It's a fast army.
Yeah.
What are you gonna paint it? What colors?
So the tribe, they're Goths. So typically Goths have their dark colors with black and white checkers.
Yep.
But I'm gonna do black and red checkers because black is tough. It's like it's a tough color. And then white normally means death, but instead I'm gonna place it with red, so it's black and red
Speed.
checkers
That's
for
faster.
speed. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So it'll be dark colors with black and red checkers.
So you have an idea to make it like uniquely your own army, uniquely orky and also your own. That's not just like
Yeah,
a
so
blind
like
army,
so like kind of the lore, like this is very early stages, but kind of the lore is I was thinking about doing the war boss is gonna be Orkiest. Who's the guy who flew too close to the sun and his wings got burned?
Oh, sorry. Or
Oh my god!
It's-
I can't believe I'm
Basically,
blanking
I'm
on
putting
it.
Ork
blanking too.
in front of that guy's name, and it's a story of how he flew too close to the evil suns and got shot down.
Okay.
And then,
Icarus.
Icarus. That's it.
So Orkiest is what I'm calling him.
Okay.
And
Dope.
then, yeah. So
Dope. Okay,
that's kind of what I'm going with, and I'm gonna play into that a little bit, but I don't
yeah.
have it fully fleshed out yet.
Sick. Are you gonna make like some other thing that shouldn't fly and have that a part of your army?
Like a flying tank.
Something like that. Yeah. Put some propellers on it. I don't know. Something creative.
No, I don't know.
No.
I'm sticking pretty box set
Yeah,
with
it makes
them.
sense.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
cool.
see.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to see how it turns out. I saw your Tyranids and they're looking insane. So
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
but-
curious to see your take on the orcs.
Okay, so Lootas. Lootas are best armed. My notes just went to the beginning. Someone else. can
Uh-oh.
Lootas. Oh, go ahead, Don.
Lootas. Say Lootas again.
Lootas.
Ooh, I like that. Lootas is the best armed of all the orcs. But that's only because they steal all the best possible stuff. In fact, they love stealing so much that when other orcs steals from them, they believe it has been taken fair and square and wait until that orc is no longer looking to steal it back.
yeah, if you let it get stolen, you deserve to lose.
Exactly. And they're just gonna be like, that was good.
And
I'm
orcs
gonna steal it back.
An orc's worst enemy is an orc. Like, honestly, they both hate and love their friends. Like, fucking great.
So other orcs call Lootas scum and honorless squigs, but Lootas maintained that, quote, sharing da wealth, unquote, is a time-honored tradition among orc culture.
Also, they're orc commies.
Holy smokes. I love it. This is probably one of my favorite ones to read and to like write the notes for.
Tell us more.
Oh my god. So Mech boys will often go to Lootas to look for the perfect gubbins to complete their latest project. And if a Luta doesn't have what he's looking for, he soon will. Because the Mech is going to pay him well.
Yeah.
So he's just going to go steal what he needs. and
No,
then
naturally,
give it to
yeah.
the Mech, yeah. Some Lutas are so proficient at their craft, they can even loot and pillage enemy vehicles and weapons before the enemy is dead. So there's like a rhino there, and they're like, I really want that tank tread. So they'll just go remove the tread while the tank is moving. Right there.
Yeah, the Imperial person looks down and is like, I think there's an orc stealing our wheels, man. They just pieced out and
The orc
leave.
is just,
They're not even fighting, they're just fucking stealing with a giant grin
Share
on
the
their face.
well.
Share the well. They spray tag on the side.
because of their constant wealth sharing,
Yeah.
they tend to be well off. and can afford mechs to make them massive shoulder-mounted guns called def guns. So these guns are altered masterpieces, crafted and joined together from all the pieces that a Luta can get their hands on, which is many.
Which is so cool.
You have a bunch of cool Lutas, eh?
Yeah. So I got so like the lore of my orcs is they entered a space marine planet that was like long since destroyed, or they destroyed them. So they looted all the space marine shit, which I stole from like my army when I was 13 years old, right? So all my orcs have incorporated imperial weaponry into their def cannons and their rockets and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's a combination of like mashed together orky stuff with imperial, which looks great. Like
you can,
which is exactly how it should be.
Yeah. Like bits of rhinos are on their shoulder, like stuff like that. It's fucking cool. Yeah,
very cool.
While def guns are unique in construction, they also perform two functions. One, deafen the owner. This is important because how else are you gonna know it works?
If it's not loud.
If I can't hear, then it's that it's definitely working.
They are described as like amazingly loud.
Yeah. And the secondary function is annihilate the target. But
like the share into wealth, I could just see an orc be like, I just love it. I love Lootas. The interactions of Lootas with other orcs.
They just steal shit.
Oh man.
And they just leave little marks saying Sharon to wealth. Just everywhere they stole.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, something like that.
So good.
Lootas are great like that. Like there's so many things you can do with them because they can just steal anything from anywhere. So you can get all these cool, flavorful interpretations. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Burna Boys.
Burna.
These pyromaniacs would have been shunned from orc society if they hadn't made themselves invaluable to mechs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more on that later though.
That's
just to let you know that they do have a very important use to mechs. So their true passion as a Burna boy is to burn everything they can possibly burn.
That's a lot of things.
It is a lot. And catching the owner of the burning stuff in the flame is only a bonus to them.
Yeah.
In fact, they are often accused of lighting even other orcs on fire just to see them do, quote, the Bernie dance.
Forced dancing.
Holy smokes.
Oh my god.
Forced dancing.
Dance, motherfucker. I'm on fire.
It is easy to spot a Burna boy as they carry stripped down flamethrowers, massive promethium tanks on their backs, and welding masks.
Everything around them is on fire.
Right, yes.
The welding masks. And if you didn't happen to see any of that, the massive, oily, greasy flames they constantly look for excuses to shoot out will warn them just the same.
Makes sense.
So if you can't see them, the fire is going to tell you they're there.
I can see like them having a welding mask, but cutting holes in it for like their cigar, or even just to see through better, which completely makes it redundant, right? Like, shit like that.
Holy.
As dangerous as they are, Burna Boys have all altered their flamethrowers with nozzles and valves to be able to concentrate their destructive power into a small blue tongue of flame. This flame allows them to cut through the thickest metal for salvage or breaching enemy armor.
Yeah, so it like takes all that destructive power and like smushes it together into a tiny little point.
I think there's a word for that. Lightsaber.
Oh. I was like, I don't know what he's going for here. But no, effectively it is a lightsaber.
Honestly, yeah. Which is cool. I mean, that's their power weapon. That's how they fucking cut through shit. Which is cool because you can have this 10-foot flame or you have this hyper-concentrated lightsaber you burn through anything.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
So the metal salvage is normally overseen by a mech spanner. So we talked about those before.
Yeah.
And they are making sure that the Burna Boys keep on task instead of trying to burn each other.
That'll happen.
And will also follow them to battle, perform any field repairs if needed on like the promethium tanks or whatever.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the salvage aspect is extremely valuable to Mech Boys. And so that's where the Burna Boys have found their spot in orc culture because they're super dangerous. Like they literally will just light other orcs on fire and like they'll light their camp on fire unless someone is like telling them what to do.
Yeah.
They're inherently volatile.
Like flame?
Just based on their own joy, they can't stop playing with fire. So it's like, oh fuck guys, calm the fuck down.
Holy
Makes sense.
But because of this adjustment to their weapons where they can turn them into like effectively lightsabers, they are just as dangerous when being driven in a tank for a drive-by burn-in, or in combat where they can just cut away enemy armor that they're facing.
Yeah.
So you're a Terminator, great. they have a lightsaber. Like they're just gonna cut through the armor you're wearing. So
I wonder
super
how many nerds out there are getting triggered when we say lightsabers are made of flame.
They
as
are.
opposed to
lightsabers are made of flame. That's how they work. It's just concentrated.
They're made out of magic.
That's why the blue ones are more powerful than like the green ones.
Luke had a blue one. Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
That's, and like the
That's
purple
why.
ones are just super rare. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I hope Christian listens to this.
Oh my god.
Love it.
Yeah, no, they're powerful. Obviously, they got some serious weapons on them. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I can burn some shit down.
Yeah. So that's all like that we know of. That's all kind of named ones. But since this is our own creation, Boys That Are Odds, we also came up with a couple other ones. So truck boys are another one where they just enjoy driving around. Very similar to like
a war bike,
bikers, but somebody has to drive all their vehicles. War trucks.
They're cab drivers.
Yeah, war buggies. Yeah, maybe they like just-
Taxis.
yeah. Maybe they actually. Yeah, do they actually charge orcs for?
Maybe they do. It's very possible
Maybe.
that they
Free
do.
for a
right?
ride,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe they do because they got to maintain their vehicles.
Exactly.
So that's one thing that isn't really talked about, but it definitely would be a thing.
You can imagine the mentality. It's like they must think of like a truck full of orcs as some kind of payload that they have to deliver. So they have this powerful weapon that they know they're driving into battle, and it's like their goal is to deliver that and have all the orcs jump out and like finally attack, and that's what they find satisfying. Maybe
They're like
Yeah.
crazy. That game, Crazy Taxi. It's just like,
can someone
they gotta-
reskin it as an elk driver?
They got
Yeah.
17 seconds to get this passenger here.
Holy shit! It's 22 miles away, and it's like, oh my god!
Who's going to hit the red button this time? Activates the big engine.
I mean, someone's gonna do it. Someone's gonna drive it, and there's gonna be a specialty for it. So it makes sense. And
Yeah.
that's a weird thing to want, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, you could really come up with anything,
Yeah,
really.
anything that isn't like your standard orc, if you can group a preference around it,
Yeah.
right? Like if you can say a bunch of orcs get together and do this thing, right? Why wouldn't that be a boy that is odd,
Yeah.
right?
exactly.
They don't. It doesn't have to go to the same amount. Like Commandos are kind of ostracized.
Yeah.
Mad Boys are viewed as like weird, but like lucky. Like
Yeah.
your thing doesn't have to necessarily be as crazy as that. You can just say like they're regular orcs who just love doing this one thing.
Yeah.
And as long as it's different enough from regular orcs, you are now a boy that is odd.
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, just like any race, like there's diversity, and like in orcs, there's some pretty fucking serious diversity. So I mean, and people, like birds of a feather, right? So like you're gonna have these people kind of flock together and be interested in their own shit, and then create a culture about it, and that becomes part of the common law,
Yeah. So there is one other like official, not official one. It was maybe at some point.
Fourth
it got
edition.
changed. It kind of is kind of a thing, but not. And they're called Lootas. And these are puny-brained orcs, far too simple to understand anything.
Yeah.
They are normally fond of, or they're normally found within feral orc groups of feral orcs.
Feral.
So where mad boys are like insane, these ones are just dumb.
They're stupid.
They're just you
Yeah.
give them a hammer, they use the opposite end. They just don't know what anything is.
So it's comparable to a grot. I mean, in some sense, like
No, Grots have cunning.
They're clever. Yeah.
Gretchen have cunning. They literally no, never mind. They run the economy pretty much.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So-
Are they like cannon fodder?
Yeah, usually they will be, but at one point there's like a mix up maybe between mad boys and these guys. So sometimes when you read their lore, they're described like mad boys, where they're also lucky. But they're kind of
weird.
They're kind of weird, but yeah, they also have like no concept of technology, and they just bash their opponents with their fists, rocks, anything they can find. Really,
So they could be unpredictable as well and be utilized in the same way as the mad boys.
Yeah.
Just let them run at them and see what happens, and you like probably
Yeah,
do some damage.
unpredictable. I think you can predict these ones pretty well.
Yeah, because these guys
Yeah.
are just going to run at you because they're too stupid
To do
to
anything
protect
else.
themselves or
Yeah.
to sit and shoot when it's a better option.
Makes sense.
Yeah, when
Where-
mad boys, they're unpredictable because
They're insane because they don't
insane.
understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
right?
But
Okay,
these
that's the
are
difference.
like simpletons.
Yep, yeah.
But they're incredibly violent and can be useful when charging gun lines. But sometimes, yeah, they're just a hindrance to the war boss because the war boss can't tell them what to do because they can't. They're dumb. They literally cannot understand anything.
Yeah, you can
They're-
imagine
they're
that just be
just-
cannon photo. Like
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
the role they serve.
yeah. So who knows if they're still around? If they've kind of morphed that idea more into mad boys? But we thought it was cool and worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And the final thing we have is flash gits. I'm sure people are going to be yelling, why did we not talk about flash gits in this episode? So in our mind, flash gits are knobs that enjoy shooting, but ultimately they're just knobs that enjoy shooting.
Yeah,
So
an orc loves chopping as much as Daka.
Yeah.
They're still regular orcs.
yeah, exactly.
Like if you devote all of your life to shooting, Dylan and I devote all my life to chopping, we're still both orcs.
And we're both
Exactly.
knobs, yeah.
Yeah.
The one weird thing about flash gits is they're kind of not respected at all, and oftentimes they will become freebooters because they focus so much on like making these flashy guns that do a lot of crazy things.
Yeah, yeah.
But ultimately, they're still just shooting.
They're still just shooters.
Yeah. Yes.
It
knob
seemed
shooters.
odd. Yeah, knob shooters. It just seems odd that like they would be considered in the same vein as someone else who has more abandoned the regular
traditional
orc.
senses.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe they love shooting that much that makes them uniquely qualified for their own like
But
thing,
all
right?
orcs love shooting.
But maybe they love it even more. Like maybe there's a whole extra level to it.
But that's
where it's
not
like,
different from what other orcs love.
Yeah, all orcs like shooting. And
All
chopping.
orcs like
Yeah.
shooting. So to
Yeah.
love shooting even more just makes you more orky.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
Right? Like loving chopping just makes you more orky.
Well, they like
But
the
when all
decorative feeling,
But
right?
when all of a sudden you want to go fast, that's not or not fast.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you specifically love the feel of a bike, or the noises of a bike, that's not orky.
Not all orcs like going fast.
Right. But
Whereas-
all orcs love shooting
Yeah.
and all orcs love chopping.
Fundamental part of. I mean, is there anything else that makes them different? Like they like that decorative
They're
kind of stuff.
yeah,
they're
like-
addicted to guns that make lots of noise.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and they're dressed like flashy too. Like they'll be wearing like pirate hats and stuff.
They're
and,
aesthetic,
like,
yeah.
colorful clothes and stuff, which makes them a little odd. But ultimately, it's a weird thing.
It doesn't seem like enough of a distinction.
exactly because lots of orcs like enjoy dressing up and painting their body different colors, or for different meanings, or
Yeah.
looting things and then wearing what you loot. Like it's not quite enough, I don't think.
Yeah. They're also like they were introduced in 3rd edition.
Sure,
It's a long time ago.
sure.
The next time they were introduced was in 4th, and they're not super listed. Like there's not like a lot of different information given about them
No.
in like
Even
the
though they've
recent
been around
editions.
forever.
Yeah, they've been around forever, but they kind of just feels like they've been left.
Yeah.
And they haven't been fleshed out enough to make them a true distinction.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
There
To me,
are
they're
probably
just-
other people that are like, fuck you, I love flash kits, you motherfucker,
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
Well,
goddammit."
yeah, I'm sure people have shooting orc armies, and a flash gate would be a central part of that.
Yeah,
So
just
It,
like if you
it
had
would
a-
be.
Yeah.
It would be.
So-
But essentially, they are just knobs that have put aside their choppa and have picked up a bigger, better, snazzier gun, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
So that's the episode.
Holy cow!
There's a lot of boys in there. Oddboys and Odd Boys.
Oddboys and Odd Boys.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of strange stuff. It kind of just amplifies, how many different kinds of orcs you can get, and when they specialize into certain
The
things, how
flavor
far they
that
go with
orcs
it.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next time we talk about orcs, I think we'll talk about weird boys.
And we'll really just pull on the WOG energy.
Yeah. I think that's the goal.
Pull it out of us. I mean, like that's real interesting right there.
Well, it
'cause, I
makes
mean,
sense because of the psychic awakening.
Okay, so which one is your favorite? What is your favorite odd boy and what is your favorite odd boy?
All right, so I got to say my favorite odd boy. Even though we didn't talk about it, I really do like weird boys.
Yeah, clearly, yeah.
Sure.
But if I had to pick one of the 3, Mechs, Pain Boys, or Runt Herds,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Pain Boys.
I think me too.
What's your explanation?
Like it's more unique. You don't see it as much. Like mechs, you see their vehicles. You can understand instantly the concept of it. But pain boys, you have to kind of look a little deeper at it. You can then come
You
up
need
with
to
some
understand the fear that orcs might have in regard to Pain Boys, because
Yeah.
that's not something I think we communicated super well. Was the fact that like
Cool. You don't want to be under their knife.
you don't want to go like you don't want to go to a Pain Boy,
Yeah.
unless you have to.
Yeah.
It's a worst case scenario, and there's a fun, it's a fun thing there. I think Big Macs is still kind of cool.
Sure.
I think they got like just some kind of unique personality where they just have their own shop, their own workstation. It's total chaos.
Yeah.
You know, they're such a fundamental necessity. You know, they can be favored, they can be feared. I don't know. I think there's just more room for all these kind of crazy storylines with a Big Mac like that.
Sure.
Jordan.
I like Mad Boys.
Mad Boys.
Yeah.
You like the insane ones.
Yeah. I just like the idea. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
That thing that doesn't quite
just totally
fit in.
incoherent. Like,
It's fucking insane. Even the orcs don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And I love that the fact that they find them as as a good luck charm. Because like we don't know how to categorize these guys. What do we do with this? It's like, well, fuck it. Let's make them great. It's like let's just hype them up, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then your favorite odd boy?
Boy, that is odd.
Yeah.
I like Lootas.
Sure.
I really do. I love the sharing the wealth.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
I love that that's how they see it. It's like it's out there. It's obviously there for me to take so I can use.
No one else is using it right now.
Exactly. And I really wanted it, so it's mine.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. No, I love tank busters. Just
It
like
is funny, yeah.
yeah, big game hunting vehicles is so dope, and it's like they're all just sabotaging each other, as you know, in awkward to get the better kill, to get the bigger thing, to get the bigger trophy, and it's I don't know, it's just blowing shit up in is one of the most orky core things. Seeing things explode. I think there's a lot of room there,
Yeah.
which is dope. What about you?
Take a guess by what I bought today.
Storm Boys?
Yeah.
Grots.
Storm Boys.
Can you put rockets on grots?
They do have a
Grockets.
rockets.
Grockets.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Storm Boys.
Yeah, we'll look and see.
I like more the visual of it than I like the lore of it. Like
These rockets strapped to an orc with a massive plume of smoke coming out
exactly
underneath them.
like Dylan said, it's one button. It's like activate the rocket. And then you just hope for the best.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just spiral off and explode. Like I like that idea more than I like their disciplined ranks and they're marching and saluting each other. That's cool because it's like it's not orky, it's counter orky. It's cool, but it's not.
Do you like the aesthetic better than like the I don't know, the emotional reason? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
However you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look good. I mean, there's like the sky thick with rocket smoke is like it's a cool, appealing image.
Yeah, and when you see their rocket strapped on their back, they're just so fucking crazy. Like,
It's like you
oh
think
my
you
God.
think it's a missile barrage, but you realize it's worse because there's orcs strapped to those missiles. And it's like fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah, the missiles don't detonate. We've got an orc to deal with, so it's like fuck.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And then Jordan's is obviously Mad Boys.
yeah.
so you're a bit of a mad boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So that's the episode.
Hey.
That's all she wrote.
Thanks for listening. I got one more story here.
Yeah.
So
All right, go.
we did that 40K Tower RPG a while ago,
Oh yeah, geez. A while ago.
and if you haven't listened, turn off now. But whatever.
If you care.
If you care, fuck it, whatever. I'm telling you what's happening.
Yeah.
So basically, the whole campaign, I was looking for a character who I was gonna clone and make a Tau army. So I chose a character called Monpraz, and I chose him for many reasons or whatever. Like he was self-sacrificing, he tried to do the right thing. I liked his version of the greater good. He wasn't a perfect character, but he was cool.
You also did it to torture him.
I also did that as well. He tried to sacrifice himself many times, and it never worked. And he was always trying to make up for
A bunch of Tau that he got killed.
exactly. And he felt like it always should have been him. So at the end of the campaign, I kill off all the Tau except for him, and I turn him into a clone trooper army, essentially. So the idea was basically he was cloned, and then the army is just a bunch of him. And the grim darkness of it is he basically watches himself die over and over and
Yeah, because
over.
every single Tau
Everyone's
that
a clone,
dies is him.
But he does not die. And even when we're playing the campaign, like I think there's twice where he had to roll a dice, and if he rolled, and it was pretty good odds that he was actually gonna die, and he survived. So I made a model for him. I made the clone army of the Tau and stuff, and I played 24 games, and Monpraz was in every one of those games, and he survived every one. Just a Tau ethereal. So on my 25th game, I was playing Knights, and this is the Tau propaganda side, and then Eric can rage at me. To win the game, this is the Tau propaganda side. To win the game, I had a bunch of Tau. They had to get off the board. They had to leave the fleeing knights or whatever. And Monpraz steps in to sacrifice himself to tie up a knight to hold it up so the rest of his men can escape. Very Monpraz.
Nice.
So he charges the knight. Once again, this is the propaganda version.
Yeah.
Charges the knight, and he gets killed. But, he sacrificed himself. All the other Tau survive. He's hailed as a hero. But so he survived 24 games on tabletop, which is wild. And on the 25th game, he finally died, and he finally got laid to rest. So
So now you're not using that model anymore.
I'm not using him, and I'm gonna paint him as like a marble statue.
Whoa.
And like I already have like another character that's gonna replace him, but he's not the same character.
No, it's just a clone.
Yeah,
So
it's
now
just a clone.
they're all clones.
They're all clones.
There's no single
Yeah.
progenitor anymore.
Yeah, so it'll be pretty cool. So I'll keep that like marble statue in like my army case as like the original clone.
Or
but-
right here in the studio, because it has a fucking story and you're on a whole podcast.
Yeah.
This is where this kind of stuff can come from. I mean, like you're such a good narrative writer, man. The depth you go into the lore and your stories and your ideas is like beyond belief. It's awesome. It draws you in because it makes you interested.
Yeah.
So stories like that you take this giant elaborate story and you also incorporate it into real life gameplay.
Yeah.
And you create these narratives. So like the final story of him.
Yeah.
Like this should be the home for that.
I
Like,
got a cool picture. I'll show you the picture.
the feeling should.
Jamie,
should
if you
be-
could just pull that
You
up.
just pull that up. Jamie Jordan.
Jordan.
Just pull
Jordan,
that
if you could just pull that up. Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
So let me tell you how it actually happened.
Okay,
But
here we go.
here's the picture.
Oh, show me a
So
little.
like
Okay, I'm looking at a really, really small town
So,
against
yeah,
a
he-
really,
he
really
charges
big knight.
up
Is that the
50
one I sent you the picture?
And
I don't know.
he's holding a
Mine is
fucking lightsaber up about arm's length, and he's just taking it on while the rest of the tower fleeing in the background. Yeah, that thing's got a lot of wounds.
So that is the Tau propaganda side of the story. What
Yeah.
really happened, Eric? You can tell.
So first of all, the guy that Mark is playing has never played 40K before.
First game.
First game, he drove like a couple
Actually, it
hours.
was his second game.
Second game of the day, first day of playing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So he's never been exposed to the tabletop aspect of 40K. He's playing Mark's Knights because really like Mark's, they're just Knights are easy to use.
Yeah, there's 3 units. You don't have to memorize how far everything moves. Everything moves the same. It's just simple army.
It's simple.
Yeah.
So he's playing these Knights, and he's playing them correctly because he blows up one tank, and Monpraz gets out of it because Monpraz was the only person left in the tank at this time. And so then he's like, okay, I'm going to take my Knight and assault that other tank, which is the correct thing to do.
Yes.
You assault
You
tanks with Knights.
You don't assault a 50-point model.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But
With a 600-point model.
as he was talking about that, Mark and James and I were there just watching, and Mark is like, man, like this guy has survived so many games. And we're like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I said like, if he ever dies, I'm not going to play with that model anymore. I'm just going to get rid of it. And James is like, no, you didn't. Because James is like, if I had known that, I would have only gunned for that guy every single time we played. And so this tank and the Monpraz are in 2 separate directions. And so James is like, no, man, like choose both as a target for your charge. And because they're in 2 opposite directions, it's kind of dumb, but you can do it. Right? So he, like the tank is like a 2-inch charge and Monpraz is like a 9-inch charge.
Yeah, it was a 10.
Right?
So
It was a 10.
It was pretty exotic for a charge.
Yeah, exactly. So Buddy rolls the dice. One was a 4, one was a 1 or something. He got 5 inches. Enough to assault the tank.
Yep.
Not enough to assault Monpraz.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then James is like, well, you have like a command point left. Just re-roll the
It
1.
was the last turn of the game.
Yeah, it's last turn.
my
Like,
God.
just re-roll the 1 and, 30% chance you get a 5 and then you get in combat. And the guy is like, no. And Mark is over here just like probably sweating buckets. Like,
Well-
why have you guys done this to me? Like, why
and
did
no.
you tell him to charge that?
Were you ready for Mumpra's death, or just something you were
Not in
actively
this
trying
scenario.
to avoid? Okay.
Like, yeah, finish the story and then
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell
yeah.
you my thoughts.
So he's like, oh, I got the command points. Might as well roll the dice. So he rolls the dice, gets the 5, and it's just this single knight charging to
600-point model charging a 50-point
And he
model.
literally just lifts up his fucking foot and squishes Monpraz to death.
Yeah.
It was wild. I was like, so we were in a
was pretty
store.
funny,
We were
fun.
in a store, and I don't think I haven't laughed that hard in so long to just see this.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was pretty fantastic.
how'd you feel in that moment?
No, I was pretty happy overall. Like,
You get to
It-
progress it.
it was, yeah, and it would have been disheartening if he just got gunned down randomly.
I agree.
You know, if it was just a shitty dice roll.
You know what?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. It was a night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It
took
was
a
a
night.
night.
It
that
took a
killed
night.
him.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what I can always say. It took 25 games and a night to finally kill this
Fuck yeah, he
character.
did. That's why he's gonna be immortalized forever. Yeah.
Exactly. So like it was a fitting end, and like the Tau propaganda side of it, he sacrificed himself.
He
for
stood
the-
up to a knight.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like it plays into my lore pretty well even. And,
Fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah, so-
Okay, I gotta ask you about your Tyranid army. What's the story behind that?
So Tyranids are pretty hard to like write lore for because there's no
Naturally.
character.
That's
So-
what you do. So what'd you come up
Yeah.
with?
So really, what you gotta come up with is why is your your hive fleet the way it is, right? So my list is all big creatures. So I got to figure out, why are they all big creatures? Why did the hive mind decide to adapt that way? So I basically just came up with like a simple, there's a minor Xenos race, unknown, like no one even knows about it. They're on one planet. They're irrelevant. But it's this fortified world that is like so protected. So the hive fleet attacks it, and they try to attack it multiple ways. You know, they try swarming the walls, doesn't work. They try digging under the walls, doesn't work. Like everything they try eventually just doesn't work. So the hive fleet is whittling down its resources, and eventually it reaches the last breaking point where it's like, we have to go all in, or the hive fleet is stopped here. So they're like, we're gonna make as many big creatures as we can and assault the wall. So they do it. It works. They conquer the world. They eat it, and that's the lore. Cool. And now they're just progressing. So there's no characters. There's no real any substance to the lore. But yeah, it's all monstrous creatures. And the reason why it's all monstrous creatures is because that's the tactic that worked.
What you should do every time you win a battle, just get some green stuff and just add a small layer across the whole thing, so they grow in size before they survive.
At that point, just spray paint them and get layers of spray paint.
No, it's not enough. Not enough. It'll just like a centimeter, no less centimeter, half a centimeter, half a centimeter.
Even half a centimeter.
For about, it's a lot. It's a lot.
God.
Small little adages here and there, so they actually get bulkier. That'd be quite cool.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. So I'm 99% done that army. I have 10 models in the list. They're all painted now. I just gotta do their bases.
Fuck, they look good, man. There, you did a really good job.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait to see your orcs though. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm hyped for that.
The one thing I'm gonna do with the orcs, I know, is I'm gonna add bionic legs to a lot of them, because I just picture them like when they
Shattering their
land.
legs.
Yeah, when they land, they just
Yeah.
shatter their legs. So a bunch of them gonna have bionic
Cool.
legs and stuff. But
How many Storm Boys?
60.
Have fun painting that.
It's not the worst.
I know that life.
Have you seen that picture of the guy's orc army? That's 80,000 points.
Yeah, fuck.
No.
That's a lot of boys. And he had some wild conversions.
80,000 points in orcs.
Total number of boys?
It was like over 1,000 or something.
Was it that many?
I don't know.
Fuck me.
I know he had like a lot of like crazy like stompers and stuff.
He
and,
3D
like,
printed a bunch of that
vehicles and,
stuff,
like-
which
Yeah.
is awesome.
But still, like the whole table was covered with boys.
Jesus
you know,
Christ.
yeah.
all painted beautifully.
It's a picture that's been floating around for a couple days
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
But I don't
That's
know
impressive.
If I can just,
That's a collection.
that's a collection.
That's a
yeah,
collection.
it really is.
Yeah.
That would take multiple days to play.
Oh, here it is. Oh, that's easy for me to pull up.
Fucking boom, pull it up. Oh, that's a lot of plastic.
That's a lot.
I am looking at what looks like an ocean of plastic. It could be a rug.
It's not even
but
a green tide.
When
at
you
that
zoom
point.
on in, yeah, it's actual
like
models.
You can't even. Like, I've
Hundreds.
tried to zoom in to like see the differences.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's too pixelated. There are
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of models, and it just becomes this big rolling
Just a sea
wave
of
of
them.
orcs.
Yeah.
It is literally an ocean of orcs. It looks great.
80,000
Yeah,
I've
points.
seen it. Oh, okay.
You have his phone.
Thanks.
There you go. Easy.
Yeah.
80,000 points.
Fuck yeah, orcs. Orcs are the shit.
No, I'm super excited to do the orc army.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's only 60 models and a couple vehicles, so it's not too wild.
Just
really.
make them all nutters and mad boys, and then like roll with that. Just have them suicide the fucking selves with rocks and like. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, look good. I'm sure it will be.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be cool. The one cool thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a bunch of exhaust effects. So like the rocket pods actually have smoke billowing out. So I have 3 squads of 20. So one squad is just gonna be the standard box set where they're running on the ground.
Yep.
The next one's gonna be the smoke where they're just taking off, and then the last squad will be where they're all flying.
So you'll get the see-through stands or something like that, or
Well, there'll be fully. Oh yeah, for the flying ones,
Yeah.
they would be
Yeah.
see-through stands, but the other ones will be supported by their.
exhaust.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and just for unit differentiation. Yeah, you did that with your boys too, where you colored boots and
Yeah.
so this squad all had pink boots, and
Yeah. One of the things with Swarm Army, when you're actually playing the game, you want to be able to differentiate them.
you have to.
So, like,
if
yeah.
you have 60 boys,
Correct.
all literally in the exact same spot, you have to.
And I see some people like they'll paint the rim of the base, and for
Yeah.
me that looks ugly, and that kind of
Yeah.
breaks it. So
Yeah, exactly. I like to have something in the game
Yeah.
where it's like, it's there, but you don't notice unless you know it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, orcs are the best,
Yeah.
aren't they, Jordan?
Definitely.
You heard it here first, folks.
Well, thank you for listening, guys, to
Yeah, it was
episode 59.
Hell yeah.
next week we got a listener alert coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Check us
Yeah.
out on Facebook.
Patreon?
Instagram.
What's our next episode?
Next
that we're
week, you
releasing?
mean? Oh yeah, next week. Yeah.
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 I guess the episode we're doing after this is homunculi
Yeah.
covens.
Yeah, should be pretty cool.
Some
They got
Dark
a lot of-
Eldar action in there.
Hey.
Yeah, but support us.
Oh,
give us
especially
some
with
money.
Drazhar out now. That's very poignant.
For different, can I spoil some stuff? Do we got another 5 minutes of spoiler?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay, so since we're not going to be talking about him on the next
No,
episode,
no. Because
So-
this is about homunculi covens.
yeah, not incubi. So there's a new Blood of the Phoenix box set, and they do a storyline where basically Drazhar, who is like a Dark Eldar warrior, mercenary, the best soldier in the galaxy, the best swordsman in the galaxy, is hired to go kill Yvraine. He is. He literally is. He literally is, man. I'm not kidding. Like, that's what the lore says. He's the best in the galaxy.
All right.
He is.
You don't think I could find that line on anyone else?
I don't think you can. He
Okay.
is.
All right.
He is. Yeah. Best in all of Cormorant, and yeah, he's the best.
Let's roll with it.
Best swordsman.
Yeah.
So he's hired to go kill Yvraine, the Yanari
The leader of the Yanari.
So there's a story where he goes and he fights her, and the Howling Banshee Exarch fights and they get
Jainzar.
to protect Yvraine. So they fight, and Drazhar wins, kills the Phoenix Lord Jainzar, but it's a Phoenix Lord, so they can come back from the dead.
Oh, she kills him.
No, not yet.
Oh.
This is how it should have been, and this is how it is. So Drazhar then takes the Phoenix Lord's armor and goes back to his shrine or whatever, and then on his way back, Yvraine inhabits Jainzar's body, brings Jainzar back from the dead, and then Jainzar and Drazhar fight again, and this time Drazhar is killed, and he's dead now. So
Well, they can recreate him. You can clone them.
that's fucking bullshit, though.
Agreement or not,
Yeah.
he can come back.
Don't kill characters if you're just gonna bring them back, unless they have something cool like the
like
Phoenix,
a saint.
Yeah, it's something like that. But just like random, like, oh well, we're just gonna clone him. Like Phoenix Lords, it makes sense. Like they have the whole thing going on. But like,
Yeah. You have
so they literally came out with this new model that looks super cool, and they killed him, dead. Like, why the fuck did you come out with that model then? Like, it's irrelevant now.
Was it just
It's
a
dead.
fan service, and then but then we actually
I
didn't
don't
want him
know.
after all?
Drazhar is pretty popular. Like he's
Yeah.
had a couple books. Like he's a cool guy. Like he's been around for a long time. Why the fuck did they decide to kill him?
Was his death meaningful enough to
Nope.
to warrant
That's so
it?
crazy to me. Like,
Nope.
better than like Constantine Valdor.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Was there enough progression of the story afterwards that would make sense of his death, and that's why
No,
he was
on-
strong?
yeah, there was
Like,
nothing.
There was nothing to it, and it was just
Yeah.
like, okay, thanks. Thank you, GW.
So
Random.
personally, I didn't read the book.
yeah.
I just know what the internet has said about that progression.
Yeah.
I
Nobody's
might be
happy.
Nobody's happy, but I also would like to read the story before
Sure.
I fully pick up my pitchfork. Right?
Sure.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and that's the problem with 40K is they turn it. Well, that's a rant for another time.
Some of us have work tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening. Please help
This
us.
has been my TED Talk.
Help us, support us on Patreon. Message us if you got questions, whatever.
Yeah,
You
cool.
know the drill.
Yeah, sweet.
See you guys.
Thanks, for having me, guys. See ya.
Peace.